Grapsody with Will, Phil, and Reg, trying to keep it real instead of what you usually get from these talking heads. It's Grapsody, we're here to fill the void. 3 black fans, different perspective, gotta fill your voice. Coming with the podcast, talking majors, indies in between, yeah, it's all that. And we're down with Fightful, better fall back. Coming for respect, we connect like a ball bat. No need to double check, these are all facts. You're listening to us talk raps. You're listening to us talk raps. Will, Phil, and Reg. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps.
Welcome. You are now listening to the dulcet sounds. Phil Lindsey in a very quaint, intimate Airbnb in Staten Island. But you know what it is. This is Grapsody. I'm Phil Lindsey. And of course, I'm with my co-host, Righteous Reg. What's going on, brother?
Your favorite rapper, your favorite writer, your favorite podcaster, media man in the building. It's Saturday morning. It's Grapsody. I like that descriptor you used, quaint. That's just, you don't hear that in everyday conversation. Great way to describe it. Phil Lindsey's on location. I'm very excited for my friend. It's his birthday weekend, so I want to start out by saying happy birthday to my co-host, my brother. Excited for another year around the sun. How you feeling, my friend?
I'm dealing with all of the bittersweet stuff that comes with making it to this age.
Yep.
And it's interesting, like I'm in good spirits and a good mood, but at the same time, like, it's a bunch of stuff. Like I got a text before I left that a cousin is in a coma, which wasn't great. And then by the time I got to the airport, I found out that report was incorrect. She is not in a coma. She is actually probably not going to make it, which was awful. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
So that was, on my mind on the flight in, but I slept through most of the flight, got in, and everything's been pretty cool. Other than that, lot going on. While we're in that mode, rest in peace to Sika.
Mm-hmm.
WWE aired a very beautiful video package for him last night.
They did.
They really got into his career, got into his time as a part of the Wild Samoans. Talked about his legacy and what he meant to Samoan culture, how he imparted that onto his son, Roman Reigns. All really, really beautiful stuff. We talked about it a little bit when we were on Ask Grapsody, but I think it's really cool that he got to see the heights that his son reached in his career. That's really, really cool. The fact that he got to be a part of that as well. He got to be in the midst of the tribal chief character. I've seen clips before of him in the crowd cheering like he's a fan, and just seeing how proud he was of his son. That was really, really cool.
Yeah, they talk about the Samoan legacy and how much how tight their family is. And to know that Sika got to see Roman be the top guy in the entire industry. His son was the man. Like, if you look up pro wrestling, like, his son's right there front and center, and he got to be a part of it. That makes me happy that, the end of his life, at least he got to see something as amazing as that and be a part of that journey, along with many members of his family also being present, and that, the Samoan heritage being front and center in pro wrestling. I think that's really great. So rest in peace to Sika. Carved out a crazy legacy. That tag team, him and Alpha with Captain Lou, like, I could just remember, like, my first couple of wrestling memories like involve like those guys, and the legacy, The Rock, Roman, Usos, like Rikishi, everything that kind of came along with it is like, I've been watching these guys my entire wrestling life. So rest in peace to Sika. Prayers to him, the family. Sure Roman and them are going through a lot right now.
Yeah. Really unfortunate news to start this week. But again, I think that at least the great thing about all of this is that he lived a good life. He had a great career. He got to experience so many things as a father and as a grandfather. So, rest in peace again. Condolences to his family.
Yeah, that video package they showed on SmackDown, really dope stuff, really great. Hearing anytime they do like those tributes and people just kind of get into their career and you hear stuff you hadn't heard before and you see things, it's always like, wow, like some people have legacies and then it's even greater than you imagine,
Yeah. Also, rest in peace to the legend, Bill Cobbs. Saw that yesterday, and he's been in everything. He's one of those black actors that has appeared all over the place. Of course, famously shot Nino Brown when he was coming out of the courtroom. Also, famously coached Air Bud, The Range.
A wild ass career trajectory.
The Range.
Shooting Wesley Snipes and then being like, no, the rule book doesn't say that a dog can't play. It's like,
Nah, he was outside, bro. He's been in a ton of other things. Of course, if you are a fan of That Thing You Do, he was Del Paxton in that. He was in a ton of things. I would be here all day if I went into every single one of his roles. But what a legacy! Legendary character actor. Had one of the most hardworking guys you can think of. I saw where I think it was Samuel L. Jackson was giving his tribute to him and talking about, how much he had learned from him just being around him. And man, it's just so dope when you think about like old Hollywood and how some of those old actors were around for so long. And he was a guy that very much imparted his impact on industry because he was in so many things.
Yeah, the same way I talked about Sika and the Samoan dynasty and seeing them my whole life. Bill Cobbs is the same way. Like every great black movie or anything, he's been somehow involved in it, some little part, something. He's a side character in Black history and one of the greatest of all time. So rest in peace to Bill Cobbs, who there's guys like him that are a part of your life that you don't know just because of how often, like how much work this guy, like you said, you'd be going all day if you went down his list. Like we've seen him so often just growing up, and it's crazy to think, like you said, getting older and it's wild, man. Just like
It is
the steps and things that happen and the transitions that happen and the stuff you got to go through getting older. It's a lot, you guys. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Got a lot on the hip hop front. Buddy, let me tell you, the city is back on my guy's shoulders.
Philip
Chicago
Lindsey,
is back.
Wow. You know what? Yesterday, big day for hip hop. And so I started the day with Boldy James. I'm like, let me start with Boldy just because him and Conductor, it was, you know what I'm going to do. Play Boldy twice. Let it sit, let it marinate. Really dope project, of course. Boldy has been rapping. It's insane the amount.
Glad he's doing all right. He had a car accident, I think last year, right?
Bro was down bad in a car accident. They thought he wouldn't walk and stuff, but he's walking and he's rapping super hard. But yeah, Philip Lindsey, birthday present of a lifetime. Lupe Fiasco, Chicago MC extraordinaire, dropped a incredible project yesterday, Samurai, that I played legit, I think 5 times in a row back to back.
2 years ago, Forbidden Door was in the city of Chicago, and 2 days before Forbidden Door, I believe, Lupe dropped Drill Music in Zion. I was like, this is very underrated record from that year. Still listen to it.
Yep.
Go figure. I am in the city of New York for Forbidden Door, and 2 days before that, Lupe dropped us another great album in Samurai. Really, really good album so far.
Yeah.
I would consider it already. It might be too soon, but I would consider it one of his best already. Just Samurai is such a great record. Cake, also a great record. All of the songs he's dropped music videos for all hit. When the album dropped, he dropped a video for Number One Headband, which is already one of my favorite songs on the album.
Yeah.
I love when he gets into his jazz rap bag, and this album is a lot of that.
Yes.
Man, really, really good album so far. Very lyrical. Very artistic and creative. I haven't gotten a chance to deep dive into some of the stuff. Like apparently, the title track "Samurai" is a concept song about what if Amy Winehouse was a battle rapper, and I was like, "What?"
That's such a Lupe thing. It's like when I heard about that conspiracy, it's like, wait, it's not a conspiracy because he's
no,
like,
he said it himself.
Yeah, he confirmed it himself, and it's like, who would even think to do that is insane. Like rapping from the perspective of Amy Winehouse, if she became a rapper and made it's like, where do you even talk about? The production on this album?
Incredible.
Is one of the best Lupe produced albums in a long time. Like this shit is crazy.
Yeah, shout out to Soundtrack. Soundtrack, of course, has produced some of his most famous hits. Wow. So the idea of him doing a song with Soundtrack is really cool. And man, this album is phenomenal so far. Like I said, Palace is really, really good.
I think I like mumble rap right now. I played that one a lot.
It's so funny that you say that because every time I listen to mumble rap, I'm like, this sounds like my guy. This sounds like a song that Reg would make. Like his cadence that he raps in, his pauses and everything are very similar to the way you rap. And so it's very funny that you would come on here and say that. But mumble rap absolutely sounds like a song you would make.
That's so funny. I'm like, you know, when a song starts and I'm just like, oh my God, like before any words are said and I know like something is happening here. That's how I felt about that song. And then he starts rapping and I'm like, oh yeah, I think I would rap on this. And then you say that and then I'm like, yeah, that's why I like it so much, because I would rap on that just like that.
Yeah, really, really great album. If you are not tired of beef stuff from this year, because we've got a ton of beef stuff. The What's the Dirt channel on YouTube did a deep dive on 616 in LA. Very, very good. If you did not watch it, he gets into a lot of the first verse and how a lot of people assume that he didn't say anything on that track, which I was always telling people, y'all are wrong. 616 was one of my favorite tracks that Kendrick dropped this year anyway. But after the deep dive, I like it even more because he gets into on the first verse, like he's basically rapping from Drake's perspective, and he drops a lot of little sneak disses and stuff in there that are it's really, really good. I really like the idea that Kendrick came in on the first verse and people are like, oh, well, he didn't really diss him. I'm like, because he's making a diss track on the first verse in the style that Drake would. And he told you straight away, I hate the way you sneak diss. And the entire first verse of that song is a sneak diss.
Yep. It's funny that people were saying when 616 came out, I knew that it was super deep and people were going to have to, it wasn't going to be like, Not Like Us and 616 are totally different.
Yes.
Like Not Like Us is on the surface. Here's everything. Here's chants, here's sayings, here's all this. But 616 is a deep dive of like introspective stuff. And you just the way that he starts it is like, that's how some shit that Drake would say. You know what I mean?
Yes. I mean, the fact that it's a timestamp record, it starts with things that Drake would say. All of it is from his perspective. Some of the lines in it are very Drake-isms. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kendrick's just different, bro. It's just a different dude, man. I'm still amazed by some things. Like, I still listen to Euphoria often. I'm like, this dude is just different, man. Like, all respect to my guy that we were just talking about and how much I love Lupe. Probably my favorite rapper, but buddy, you're wrong about this guy's a lyricist, man. You are wrong, Lupe. I'm sorry, but you are wrong.
That's like the one stand that Lupe really takes that I'm like, I can't get behind that, man. Like Kendrick is on some other shit. And if you're done with beef, if you haven't seen, I released a video. I was at karaoke and they had Not Like Us in the playlist. And I'm like, drop it, bro. And so, it went up. What happened was I got to karaoke and like they were doing like on Thursday, they do like Black people night. So like a bunch of black people. There was like a hype man, Phil. He's like, I'm like, it's going lit.
Black people.
They played Not Like Us and everybody was into it. And I'm like, all right, let me see. I was just going to do a Kendrick song. And then that was at the top of the list. And I'm like, oh, I have to. And so still goes off. California is not, there's been a lot of talk of like, this song's played out. Y'all are still going. I'm like, no, California is not going to stop. I think the song's forever at this point.
Nah, that's their anthem at this point. When LA picks up on something, the West Coast is on something, forget it. You didn't get in there and go, man, it's karaoke. I got to get a Drake singy song record off. You didn't do like passion fruit or something.
No, I can't get into my Drake singy bag over there, especially when the black women there, because they'll clown you.
Nah, you wouldn't get into your passion and from miles away.
That's a good one though.
The things you say.
Nah, see, I don't got it like that.
Nah, you can break it down for him.
I do not got it like that. The video's still coming sometime. So the beef is not over. It's not like
no, the video's coming. He's filmed the video.
And Drake's gonna get peeved when the video drops. So I'm sure something will happen.
Yeah, I hope that this doesn't lead to Drake dropping more music. I think that would be a mistake on his part.
But I wouldn't be surprised.
Hey, but if also you're gonna give me more music, I'm not gonna say no. I just think that that's a mistake.
Probably shouldn't do that.
Oh yeah, so a strategic mistake.
I saw you had a chopped cheese for breakfast. You're out in Staten Island. You're out being a New York boy, doing your thing.
Get your New York colloquialisms correctly. I got a bacon, egg, and cheese.
Oh, my bad. Bacon, egg, and cheese. That's breakfast. It hit.
Yeah, so yeah, I did walk to a bodega up the street. I got bacon, egg, and cheese. Pretty good, pretty cool. I mean, New York's a cool city, man. I haven't been here since probably like 2013.
Oh shit.
But it's a cool city, very crowded, it's much bigger than Chicago.
Chi-Town, do you get the same kind of vibes? Yeah, I'm here. You can hear me?
Oh, no. It's a totally different city.
Try to get this coordinated. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I can hear you.
Yes. Yeah, totally different city, different vibe.
Last time I was there was in 2019 for WrestleMania 35, and I hadn't been there since 13 also, I think. And every time I tell people about it's been a couple of years now, but when I tell people about it, I'm like, yo, New York we stayed in Brooklyn, and I'm like, it's not the way that it had been presented to me and all the rap records and what everybody had told me. I'm like, there's legit like just white people walking their dog at 2 a.m. like unfazed.
Yeah. You went to New Brooklyn. You went to gentrified Brooklyn. It's different vibes.
It's way different vibes, and so it kind of was a culture shock. But I liked it, because it's like hipster vibes and stuff also. So it's like I feel what y'all are doing over here, but it's different. That's just it. It's different.
No, you just had to walk to the right neighborhood. You would have got the garbage and like all of the scenario that rap has told you is in New York.
Well, I'm
you
also
had to go to the wrong neighborhood. That's all.
I'm also from Oakland, California, so I know not to go to the wrong neighborhood. I wouldn't.
Listen, it's okay to stay where you belong, man.
Exactly.
It's all right.
Listen, I know the game. If you go to the wrong place, I could go to the wrong place in town right now, and it wouldn't be good for me. But I still love Oakland. It's not nothing against Oakland. It's just the game.
Sometimes I think that when people come to Chicago and they're like, it's not nearly as violent as you people say, and I'm like, no, it's great here. But if you want me to go and take you to a place where you want to see like what is that side of Chicago, I'll find you some urban places.
Some urban places.
I'll get you right.
Finding somebody at urban place is crazy as hell.
Yeah, I'll get you right.
Well, you take them down to the O Block. People love to go down there for some reason.
Yeah. Go right on down to Cabrini Green, We'll find you some places to go out in Roseland somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think you want to do that.
Yeah, just lock the doors, roll the windows up.
That won't even help, honestly.
Listen, man, I've seen all of the great parts of my city. That's why when sometimes people are like, oh, Chicago's this and that, I'm like, no, I've seen, Summertime Shy, and it's beautiful. I've seen parts of the city where I've seen a guy literally get yanked out of his car. No, it's it's a city of ups and downs, man. It's peaks and valleys.
See, my issue is like recently, or not recently, like the algorithm has started showing me these weird Bay Area page. I'm sure you see the same thing where they just like amplify the craziest shit that happens in Oakland pretty much. And so I'll see videos where I'm like, oh my God. And like it'll legit be like a video on a street that I drive down every day. And like I don't know what it's like a scared. I don't know what it is. Like these pages never amplify the good stuff. They just amplify when
Never.
the odd shit happen. And I'm like, I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel good because, like you said, there's great parts. I go to Oakland and I see the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life, but they don't ever show that.
Nah, you know what it is. It's sensationalism.
It's unfortunate. We live in a wild society this week, Phil. This week I've been like, I'm leaving. Like, where could I go? I don't know. I don't know where to go though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know that this place that we currently are in isn't for us, but like, I don't know if anywhere is for us.
Yeah, I did not watch that debate. I'm not planning to partake in another Trump campaign season. We've seen what this guy's about. We've seen enough of it. I'm good. If you still need to see more of it to decide on who you're voting for, then, buddy, I suggest that you might have a short memory span. You might want to revisit some of the things we've already seen. Nah. It's fine. But I had no interest in watching that debate. Not going to do that. I did catch some of the NBA draft. That then gave us some funny talking points for the rest of the week as well.
I forgot we were on Ask Grapsody as the great news of the week dropped about your boy Bronny James.
Well, straight away, I think it's crazy that this kid that was the 55th pick in the second round has become the biggest news story of this draft, and not any of the more talented players that went in the first round, the number one pick that a lot of people don't even know from France. And every time somebody's like, well, we don't know any of these kids. Hey, maybe if ESPN and some of these sports channels and some of these places that, cover basketball actually talked about them more than this kid that was not even the best player on this team. By the way, best player on this team didn't even fucking get drafted. But this is where we are in the world. Ronnie James did get drafted, 55th pick in the second round. Good for him. Good for his dad. And I don't want that to sound away because I do think that it's cool that he's getting to play. He did have a very scary health issue about a year ago at this point. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that he's doing well and he's able to play. But I do think a lot of stuff around this is a circus. But most things around LeBron at this point are a big fucking circus.
Yeah, this is like you were saying, Phil. If I had a gun to my head right now, they're like, name the number one draft pick of the NBA. I'm dead. Like I can't even. What's his name?
I know his name, but I also now need to look it up because I want to make sure that I'm getting his name correct.
But I thought that was the funniest thing because the first day I was like, legit, I don't know anybody. And Bronny James was still the talk of the whole draft. Like, when's he gonna go? What's he gonna get? He doesn't get picked because he's not the best player out here, and like nepotism is really gonna go to work. So when he gets picked, and like he's been running this campaign of like, nope, don't put me on my dad's team. Don't compare me to him. I don't want to play with him. I'd rather play over here. I don't want to be. I'm not blah blah blah. So when it happens, it's like, oh my God, this is wild. And then so some little news tidbits come out that Rich Paul apparently called some teams and said don't draft them or something. I'm like, oh, okay.
There was a lot of funny business happening. I seen where this was going towards the beginning of this year when he was one of the biggest talking points. When he was on the McDonald's All-NBA team, All-American team, sorry, I was like, okay, that's interesting based on what I knew about his high school numbers. But I was like, I see where we're going. And then, Rich Paul started coming out saying things, and I was like, okay. All of a sudden, we were getting ports from McMenamin. If you don't know who McMenamin is, he works for ESPN. And essentially, every time I hear from him, he's only reporting LeBron news. It's almost like he's the mouthpiece for that camp. He's also signed by Clutch Sports. Take that how you will. Take that how you will. But he started putting out stuff around All-Star break. And he said, LeBron wasn't as interested in playing with his son. That didn't have to happen. That's something he may want to do, but he doesn't have to play with his son. Even though, LeBron is the first person we heard that from. It's not like the news propagated this idea. It came from LeBron. Yeah. The Dre Beats commercial came out with him throwing the alley-oop to him. This has been a rollout for a minute. So seeing then Rich Paul try to flip this and go, oh, well, if you draft him and you send him to a G League team, then we're just going to send him to Australia. We don't have to send to your team. And I was like, okay, I see what this is. Y'all are trying to finesse a team into drafting this kid and not send him to G League. You're trying to create the perfect situation where he goes where you want him to go. Yep. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Number 1 pick, Atlanta Hawks. Zachary Rissache, I think that's how you pronounce it. French kid. Both the first and second pick are from France. I think this is kind of historic as well because first and second pick are from France. Defensive player of the year this year was also from France, and the rookie of the year, Wembanyama, is also from France.
What they doing out there?
Hey man, somebody said it's something in the croissants. But yeah, it is what it is. The Bulls kind of lucked up. We got a hometown guy that was going to go in the top 5 that dropped all the way down to 11th. We picked him. I think that was a good pick for us. But again, the news cycle has pretty much been dominated with the Bronny talk. Yeah. I think some things about this are cool. Like they were putting up the pictures of Bron in his first or second year, and he had baby Bronny on the court with him. And like going now to year 21 coming up for him in his career, and he's going to be playing with his son. Yeah. That is cool in theory, but some of the stuff around this is it is. But some of the stuff around this is a bit ridiculous. I think a lot of talking points about it are ridiculous. I did not expect to get up yesterday morning and have to listen to people tell us about why nepotism is a good thing, and I just was like, guys. Knock it off. Like it's cool if you want this to happen and you like it, but we don't have to do this, bro.
The people that are talking like this wasn't gonna happen though, and like they're surprised is my favorite part though. Like you thought LeBron James, the person that the news cycle revolves around him, if he's playing or not, if the season's in or not, that he wasn't gonna get his son in for some special moment. And I'm like, you guys, like this league is catered to him. Like they handed this to him on a platter. They made it look crazy by having him go 55th in the second round, but like we all knew what time it was.
I mean, well, he wasn't going to go in the first round, just based on his numbers. And see, I don't even want to get into certain things about his play and things because it makes it seem like you're picking on the kid, and it's not on him. You're just putting this crazy amount of pressure on him, and you're putting this big microscope on him. But if this wasn't LeBron's kid, he wouldn't have got drafted, bro. Like, if you look at his numbers, he wouldn't have got drafted. Come on. But it is what it is. He
would have stayed in college if he was in LeBron's kid, right?
Yeah, and I kind of think he should have stayed in college and maybe played another year. But maybe it also is he couldn't because, again, if you're trying to play with LeBron's got maybe 2-3 more years left. But everything about this is very... all of a sudden, he's trying to get a contract extension. And he's threatening to opt out of his contract. Everything around this JJ Redick thing and the other hire that they wanted, and it all looks away. And of course, as usual with Bron stuff, if you point out that it looks away, then you're a hater and you're a Jordan guy. You Jordan guys are so weird, and leave out the fact that none of us has mentioned Jordan. It's always you guys that are the first ones to mention Jordan, but it happens every time. Boy, did I get a lot of entertainment out of watching Bomani Jones on Twitter yesterday. Giving his opinion on this thing and then defend himself against a lot of people. Highly entertaining. I love Bomani. I think he's one of the absolute best to do it.
Big
But
fan of Bomani.
I think it's very interesting that he's one of the few people that has been speaking negatively about this, and just so happens doesn't work at ESPN. Go figure. But yeah, feel whatever way you about it. I don't, my issue is not him getting drafted. I just think everything around it is ridiculous. But that's the case with a lot of this stuff.
My thing is, Phil, is like, are y'all about to win some basketball games? And like, nah, you know what I mean? Like, y'all doing all these antics, all this parading, everything, but y'all are not about to win no basketball games.
I saw a stat that other than that year they won a championship in a bubble, the LA Lakers have been a 7 seed or worse for the last 12 years. So that 1 year out of all of this have been a pretty below average team. But yet every year, this is the team that we spend the most time talking about on ESPN. It is absolutely ridiculous to me. But again, when this is pointed out, you're just a hater.
That's all I'm saying. Like, there's all these antics. We're doing all this show, Bronny James, but like, y'all are not about to win no games. So like, y'all are taking up all the time and all the space. We didn't stop talking about the NBA champions already. We're just like, oh, we're done with that. Let's talk about LeBron now. I'm like, yo, what?
We stopped talking about the NBA champions. We stopped talking about a lot of the very good kids in this draft. Again, the best player on USC has gotten no coverage.
Yep. Could you imagine?
Boogie Ellis, that's his name. I've heard very little people talking about Boogie. It's all about Bronny. And Boogie, I believe, just got signed to like a 10-day contract or something by the Sacramento Kings. But again, didn't get drafted.
No.
But he was the leading scorer on his team. I believe he was the captain of that team as well. Didn't get drafted.
That's a kid that's going to still play in the NBA for a while because he's got it. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to have to deal with not getting the silver platter treatment, but he's going to work hard to get up there. If you got numbers like that, like, hopefully it translates for you. But yeah, I saw his numbers compared up to Bronny's, and I was like, whew. Like, if I was that kid and I saw that, I'd want to fight someone, you know?
Yeah. I'm seeing somebody in our chat say that Chicago isn't good. Here's the thing. I know our team isn't good. I don't get on here every year and tell you guys about the chances of us winning a championship. Chicago Bulls are not covered ad nauseum every year. That's what I'm talking about. It's not a matter of, are the Lakers bad and I'm trying to rub Lakers fans' nose in it. That's not what annoys me. It annoys me that we have to talk about these guys like they're a threat every fucking season, and they're not. And then when I point it out, oh, well, you're a hater. They're not that good, guys. I'm sorry, man. I'm not saying anything crazy here.
Now, you can make a super cut of our podcast of you being like, I know the Bulls aren't going to win. Every year.
Every year.
A super cut of it.
Every year. I just want entertaining games. And we did get some entertainment games. Kobe White was fantastic last year. I had some fun, but it's looking like it's time to bust this team up. That's just what it is. Like, I really would like to see DeMar DeRozan get re-signed here.
Yep.
I really would like to see a lot of things pan out for us, but it is what it is. I have been in suffering as a Bulls fan for a very long time. I know what this is. I know what we're dealing with. I'm gonna attempt to re-enter the abusive relationship with the Chicago Bears this season. They are the subject of the Hard Knocks this year, so I am gonna watch Hard Knocks. I'm going to try to watch regularly. I haven't done that in a few years. Pray for me.
It's gonna be a tough one for you, man. I'm not looking forward to your journey that's gonna happen here. The Bulls and the Bears, like, woo, tough one. Good stuff happening in sports though. Beyond that, I hope that the kids that got drafted, succeed and excel and get set up and have the opportunities to be the best that they could be. And this is probably honestly good for them because I'm sure some of Bronny getting all the news coverage is taking some of the pressure off of what would be probably the most insane time of their lives. So hopefully they're just in the gym doing their thing,
Yeah. And other Chicago related news, Indiana will be getting 3 pay-per-views coming up. Royal Rumble
that's Chicago news?
2025.
You count
No,
that?
no. Stay with me. Stay with me. Indiana is getting Royal Rumble in 2025. They're also getting SummerSlam coming soon, and they're getting a WrestleMania. And I saw this news, and I sat back in my seat, and I said, "Y'all just gonna keep playing in our face, putting SummerSlam everywhere around us, Ohio, Indiana, all these places. When are we getting a SummerSlam, bro? SummerSlam has not been in the city of Chicago in 30 years." What is going on here? And I keep saying I want a WrestleMania here. I know people are gonna go. You guys don't have the stadium, but I'm just like, what is this? Somebody tweeted me and said, "I thought you'd be happy. It's in the Midwest." Guys, how much do you know about Chicago and Indiana?
Mm-hmm.
I ain't no Indiana fan. Indiana is a hub for where people go to get gas and cigarettes and fireworks. It's not a real city. Like, nobody likes Indiana. What is this?
Man, you breaking it down like that, I'm like, damn, I've been kind of spoiled. SummerSlam had a residency in LA for like 5 years or something. I went to like 3 of those. We've had WrestleManias in the Bay and in LA in the last 10 years.
Doing us dirty. Listen,
Yeah.
it's time. When are we going to get a SummerSlam? When are we getting a WrestleMania? I know that there's talk of us building the new stadium for the Bears, but what are y'all doing to us, man? Stop playing in our face, putting it in all these other Midwest cities. Don't come in my mentions and tell me, man, but it's in the Midwest. The analogy that I gave that person as well, I said, this is like living in Springfield as a character on Simpsons and finding out that Shelbyville got WrestleMania. What the fuck are we doing, bro?
This is do you think the stadium is it? That could be the only explanation, Phil. We all know Chicago's one of the hottest wrestling places there is. Like, why haven't they gotten a giant show in so long?
It is. I think it's a stadium. With United Center, it's mostly money and scheduling. Because in April, it's going to be hard to schedule it because that's right in the midst of basketball season. And it's not really big enough for them to tout their numbers. They want like one of those big open air stadiums. They don't want United Center.
Damn. When's the new stadium going to come for the Chicago Bears?
Whenever they decide where they want this team to play. They're trying to tell us Arlington. Ain't nobody going to goddamn Arlington to watch a Bears game. Nobody want to go to Arlington. Arlington is not Chicago. It's like a suburb outside of Chicago.
See, all the good shit's starting to be like that in Chicago. It's kind of crazy. But they're doing that too. That's kind of how, I mean, they moved the Warriors over the bridge. They do shit like that to get it away from where the real niggas be at. That's what they did with the Warriors. Like, we got to get them away from Oakland. It's crazy over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that news and I immediately scrunched up my face. I was like, Indiana, whatever. But yeah, Indianapolis will be getting 3 big WWE pay-per-views soon.
I'm on the fence with this because I even have like 2-day in a row show issues because I feel like fatigue sets in really quickly. You know what I mean? Like, if we're getting the 3 biggest WWE shows are going to be at the same place, that doesn't sound that appealing to me, especially considering how amazing the overseas crowds have been. And now we're going to come back with the 3 biggest shows in like Indianapolis. Like,
Summer in Indiana, baby. You ready for it? February in Indiana.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
They must have given up the bag, Phil. The bag.
Absolutely. You know what time it is.
A big one, brother. But I never been there. That's something.
Yeah. Somebody in our chat asked, where was the very first All In? That was at the Sears Center in Hoffman Estates. That is also technically not Chicago, but of course it's billed as Chicago because it's a suburb of Chicago. But it's not even called the Sears Center anymore. It's called the Now Arena. I believe that we're probably going to get some more shows this year around All Out Weekend that are also going to be in Hoffman. But Hoffman's not nearly big enough to host like a WrestleMania or one of those big WWE pay-per-views or PLEs, whatever they're called now.
Wintrush is actually Chicago?
Yes. It's right in the heart of the city, next to McCormick Center. It's not like off in the outskirts. It's in the city.
Yeah, because last year's All Out, man, some stuff was pretty distanced, and like that gets unfortunate when you try to have like a wrestling weekend where you're trying to get a lot of shit in, and like something's an hour away, and like the show's an hour away or whatever. It's like I don't. It's
Yeah,
not
I
really
mean
that
that's
good.
mostly stuff that from that weekend was like the GCW stuff was way out. Um, whatever other stuff we had to do that weekend was way out in the
Mhm.
sticks. But United Center is in the city, very very west side of Chicago. You walk right up the street from United Center. You might get one of them urban areas that I was talking about earlier. You take one wrong turn out there on the west side. You might see some stuff you wasn't expecting to see.
Whoa, great Bulls game. Oh, whoa, this is the wrong neighborhood. Shout out to
Uh,
Chicago.
yeah. I think we should probably have some super chats.
Yeah.
40 minutes in, Humper chats as well. Humperchats.com/fightful for those.
Y'all are amazing. We do have a bunch of super chats. Appreciate y'all for submitting them. I'm just trying to go down. First one's going to come from J Miller 3389. Jacob was staring down Solo the whole segment. Maybe he turns on Solo at some point. Jacob leads Tamaloa and Hikaleo, and Solo aligns with the OG bloodline.
Yeah, we'll get into some bloodline stuff. I think the bloodline stuff is hot right now though.
Really hot. Honestly, we're gonna get into it. Deontay Soignier says, "Just wanted to say I'm blessed to be here with y'all as always. Excited for Forbidden Door. Happy birthday, Phil. Wishing you love and prayers. Thank you both for speaking truths on wrestling. It's almost Tam time. Have fun this weekend, everyone." Thanks, Deontay.
Very excited that I'm gonna see Tam wrestle this weekend. Very glad that she's in New York. Really cool.
That
Really
tag
cool to
match.
see some Stardom wrestlers on this card, and just all the attention given to women's wrestling has been dope.
Good weekend for women's wrestling. Will Chisholm says, "Will and Swerve tomorrow. That Bo Dallas promo and Paul Heyman got the Drew calling Punk dog stupid looking. We've been eating."
Yeah, a very strong weekend. That Drew promo on Monday was really good. I was one of those that was saying that this was the wrong card and I put the belt on him. The follow up to Clash of Castle has been excellent. I think the beatdown on SmackDown was really good. Punk's promo that night before that was good, and then the stuff we got from Drew on Monday was very good. Probably one of Drew's best promos in a long time, in my opinion.
Yeah, as far as like character development, Drew's been kind of killing it off of not
Yeah.
winning the championship. And it's like we both came on here to be like, that was such a bad idea, but maybe it wasn't. And then we, with the kind of Rollins getting the title shot at Money in the Bank, I'm like, some things could change here, like not that quickly or not that long, you know?
Have you picked up on the subtle things they're doing with Drew that I think are very funny and interesting?
Mm.
Drew is essentially where Punk was in 2011. He's the
Mhm.
hottest heel in the company, and it feels like the company is setting up all these obstacles against him. And in the meantime of him being upset about all these things, he also very much has shown that he doesn't care about what the people actually want. It only seems that way. He's also very much a hypocrite. It's almost like they're trying to do this like meta commentary on Punk's character from 2011 from a company eye and not from the fans' eye.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. When do you think he's gonna get the strap, though?
That's a very interesting question because they've kicked the can down the road at this point so much that I don't know, because I have to assume that Gunther is going to win at SummerSlam.
I would think so.
And I don't think that Gunther is going to have a short reign if he wins.
He shouldn't.
So I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe he's going to win Money in the Bank and that'll lead to it. But I have to assume that the SummerSlam match is going to be Drew versus Punk. So I don't know.
I mean, kind of where his character is going, the Money in the Bank would work, but I just I guess that is a way to get to the championship for him, you know.
Yeah. Because I mean, even if you're looking at WrestleMania, if I think what are the big matches, if I had to guess right now, I still think that Cody's going to be in the top. So we possibly could get Cody, Rock, Cody, Roman or something like WrestleMania.
Something like that.
But I have to assume if we're still trying to do the same storyline of Punk, that Punk could headline. And if Punk headlines, I'm assuming it's going to be a title match.
I would think it's going to be against Rollins, though, maybe.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I kind of think is happening here that's interesting. I do think that there's fair reason to think that Rollins is going to win at Money in the Bank. And he's going to lose at SummerSlam. And then I think the story for the rest of the year is Rollins climbing back up to eventually beat Gunther by maybe Royal Rumble. And then maybe Punk wins the Rumble and challenges Rollins.
Yeah, because I feel like Rollins is going to go over Priest at Money in the Bank. I just have that, like, the energy, and like I like Priest and everything. I think he's done a really good job as being champion, but like the Gunther and him as the title match at SummerSlam, I don't think is the big marquee match. Rollins and Gunther is the big marquee match.
No, all the story going up to Gunther winning the championship has always been with Rollins.
Right.
Gunther said if he won the Royal Rumble, he was going to challenge Rollins. When you think about who is the polar opposite of Gunther as a character, it's Rollins. The way he dresses, the way he acts, he carries himself in a way where he takes wrestling serious. So of course he would look at Rollins like he's a big clown. And when you look at the way that Rollins wrestles compared to where he wrestles, Rollins does very flashy, high flying moves, and Gunther's very straightforward wrestling. He's in every way the exact opposite of Gunther.
I was just now thinking about, because the show's Money in the Bank, Drew got cashed in on at WrestleMania. He immediately does the same thing to Priest at Money in the Bank. Is that an option?
Maybe.
I hate it, but
maybe. but I also think it just means more for Gunther to beat Rollins, because
it does.
Rollins is, for lack of a better word, is kind of like a chosen guy. He's not a chosen guy like a Roman, but when you look at like the Shield and like his claim to fame and like being chosen by the authority and everything, he's a Triple H guy. Yeah. And so, I mean, he uses a Triple H move. Yeah. Triple H guy. Gunther in a lot of ways is the opposite of that. He's very unconventional. He's a guy that we wouldn't expect to make it this far, especially like with his indie background and everything. And so I think it means more for this era of wrestling for him to beat somebody from that era to be a world champion, and Rollins being a workhorse guy. It just means more than him beating Drew at this point. And then also, Drew and Damian, but also Damian cashing in. I can see Gunther not respecting his win, because it's like, all right, but you pinned the guy afterwards. You didn't pin the guy that has really been carrying this brand, that was the workhorse of this brand. You didn't really beat that guy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that the top of the Raw men's division for the world title, I think, is better. I love what they're doing with the Bloodline stuff, but it's not specifically like, they're not like, we're taking that championship from you, Cody. No. They're just like, we're dominating the whole industry, you know what I mean? And so if they're gonna go with Solo and Cody on top at SummerSlam, we definitely need a workhorse match. So Gunther and Rollins again is needed, you know?
It makes more sense for that card, I think. And also, when you think of SummerSlam, that's kind of Rollins' event. He's had like a bunch of big events at that show. The John Cena match, that's where he beat Brock. He's kind of Mr. SummerSlam.
Yeah, I'm into that. But I mean, Priest, he could still pull it out. It just makes it, the way that Rollins came back and right into it, and I'm
like, that's another reason. I've just looked at so many things. When I looked at that video package they aired Monday for Rollins, I was like, oh, this very much feels like Rollins is winning.
Right?
Like, just the way that they treated it, like it felt very much like his rebuild era after he came back from that knee injury. They were showing how much work he put into WrestleMania, and then just going away quickly and having a surgery and working his way through all the obstacles to get back. And I feel like that story of him doing all that just to claim his title and then have that reign get cut short immediately by a guy that's going to work every single one of those injuries and break this guy down makes plenty of sense.
That's a good story. All right, we're going to move forward with some super chats. Deontay Soignier also says, all love and praise to the NYE family. They're going through a lot right now. We gave it up to Sika. Love to them.
Yeah.
Bragov says, "Happy birthday, Phil! What a gift from AEW." Haha.
Yeah, man.
You have a lot of gifts this weekend.
Somehow got a lot of things that I wanted on this card. I was sitting around like, hey, I hope Tam Nakano ends up on this card. Go figure, Tam's on this card. I was like, man, re-sign Leo. Leo is on this card. I
got a lot of things. Just a match you've been pitching for like 3 years or something at this point.
I got a lot of what I wanted, man.
With the Lupe record as your soundtrack, I'm like, what's going on here? I think something's happening. Tony P says, just want to say I'm jealous of you, Phil, for being there. So am I. Since I have to work, happy birthday weekend as well. Hope you stay safe and praying for your fam.
Thank you.
Matt Logan says, hi to my favorite rapper. That's me, I think. Phil tells Swerve Reg has heat with him. He knows.
Yeah, I saw somebody say, yeah, you and Media Man, the Media Men are outside because this was a response to us putting up the Mina interview. And I was like, no, there's only one Media Man. And I was like, wait, maybe. It might be two.
There is not two.
But yeah, since I mentioned it, the Mina interview is up on Fightful's YouTube channel if you have not seen it. Very excited about that one. Wrestling, getting somebody from Stardom has been something I've wanted to do for about 6 years. So I was very excited about that interview. I'm really happy with the way it came out. I'm glad that people supported it in the way they did. One of the YouTube comments was like, man, I don't think Phil has stopped smiling through this entire interview. This was definitely a big W for me. This is one I've been trying to get.
Yeah, ever since I've known my friend, he's talked about getting this interview. And so when he said, it's probably 2 or 3 weeks ago that this interview was a possibility, I was like, that's just going to be fun just to see my friend in that element. And it was as good as that because, like, yeah, he just smiled the whole time. It just felt like he was having a good time. I was just happy to be there. It feels like been getting great feedback. Great feedback all week from so many people. Y'all are dope. So definitely go check that out. She's just like it's real. Like, you know what I mean? Like the energy that she kind of exudes really comes through. Like you could feel it on the podcast. It's crazy.
Yeah, she was really great. I think her English was a lot better than people expected. And just her personality just shined throughout the entire interview. She's at some points very, very funny.
Yeah, I was nervous because I remember when you told me about the interview, I was like, well, I've never done. Oh yeah, I did the interview with Kabashi, the translator, but we were both there, translators there, Kabashi's there. So I hadn't done like an over video anything. And you were like, oh no, she's not going to have a translator. We're just going to be talking to her. And I was like, oh, sweet. That's going to be fun. And it was fun.
Yeah. Really fun conversation. Hopefully we get some more wrestlers from Stardom soon.
A lot. Do your thing. You're out there this weekend. See what you can do.
Yeah, hopefully, you know. Trying to get in my bag, you know.
Trying to see what that's like. Roberto Arsenal. Roberto Arsenal says Forbidden Door isn't for everyone, and that's okay. But for me, who watches weekly Japanese wrestling, it's my second favorite pay-per-view of the year. The new Lupe album is heat.
Listen, Roberto, we winning. Don't let anybody take your energy away because people are trying. Like, oh, do we still need Forbidden Door? Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Go break out the clip of you saying, listen, I know these things aren't for everybody, but this is for me. This show, this is for me.
Yeah,
that album, this is for me.
Honestly, you know, man, sometimes we got to take our little victories, and I feel like this is a victory for us. They say it's for the sickos and all that. This is what this is. Every show isn't like when we get to All In, that's going to be the spectacle. That's going to be the big matches. That's going to be the top stars of AEW versus the top stars of AEW. It's going to be that. This right here is like a pay-per-view, the kind of stuff we never even imagined as wrestling fans could happen. Like last night, see, I know it's not a very popular guy around here, but seeing Chris Jericho in Arena Mexico with Mystico and like how lit that crowd was just to see Jericho. Like you don't see crossovers like this. That's not historically, big promotions don't do stuff like that. Well, what it felt like. And now that it's happening consistently, it's just so fun.
Listen, man, every time I see these things, I'm like, bro, I got to get out to Mexico and see some wrestling, bro.
Honestly, it's crazy.
I've never been to Mexico in general, but like, yo, these crowds look incredible.
Every single show, they're like on fire. Like you would think that that's the first or last show they're going to. Those fans like are diehards. They love some fucking lucha, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Definitely looking forward to CMLL's contributions to Forbidden Door this year as well.
That's 6, man. We're gonna get into it. Van Toonblade says, "It's a city. Why are we acting like crime is something new? Crime happens. All the trash feeds do is more. All the trash feeds do is make the honkies afraid for no damn reason."
I think they be trying to trick us and act like they're afraid. They be chilling.
Listen. That's a deep dive. That's an Ask Grapsody thing. Tenruza says, just got home from the WSW show here in Melbourne. Cardona, Namath's, Elijah, Hammerstone, really fun. Tried to get them to play Not Like Us at halftime.
Yo, that'd be crazy.
In Melbourne. That's crazy as hell. Appreciate you for submitting that. Kamal Stevens says, when you say win no games, do you mean like not make the playoffs? Also, this draft class and plus the Lakers are a marketable franchise regardless.
Yes. I mean, listen, the Lakers are going to be fine as an organization. They have money, all this other stuff. But I mean, like, they're not a threat to become like champions. They're not contenders. Right. That's what I mean.
Like, they're going to win games, but they're not going to win the championship.
And I know somebody's going to be like, but the Bulls aren't either. I never said the Bulls are contenders. They're not.
They could be. I like how they're going young, though, you know?
Yes, they're going young. Some people don't like the moves we've made, but, you know, I like the draft pick. I am tentatively interested in what Josh Giddey will bring to the team. He's just got this dark cloud around him because of that outside of basketball stuff.
All the interviews feel like, ooh.
Yeah.
You know?
I thought he did well in the press conference, but again, it's just this big elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm. Coffee Black says, give Jacob Fatu all the belts except for the speed belt.
Yo, we're going to get into it, but that Jacob entrance was hard, bro.
It's like I knew Jacob was going to kill it, but it's way better than I even expected.
That guy, he looked like a star, man.
Big star, man. Even got a fire entrance somehow in a company of not fire entrances.
I mean, well, those guys, the Bloodline guys, they usually give them, like, Jay's got a good entrance. Like, even Solo's NXT theme is not bad. Like, those guys usually have good entrances.
And not for nothing, I kind of like Solo's fucking slip and slide remix song that he has now, if we're keeping it real.
Slip and slide remix.
I want it all. It's like a Kevin Gates rap or something on it.
Slip and slide remix is hilarious, bro.
No,
we don't play. Like, take it to the house.
Doesn't
got that fly? Take it to the house. Take it to the house. Take it to the house. Don't. Yo, if he came out to that, that'd be hilarious.
Don't it sound like a beat Trick Daddy would rap to?
It kind of does.
That solo's not that bad. Look, the Bloodline's like, y'all, you better get our themes right. They're probably watching over as
they invested, bro. They invested in Bloodline. It's very obvious.
Roman's theme, though, I don't really.
His theme is good, but I was never the biggest fan on it. It's grown on me a lot more, but you know, and I know what it's a riff off. It is I get it. Like, I get what they're doing with it. It's a good theme song.
It's probably just played out at this point with how long his entrances are.
I think that's what it is.
He was, you know what I mean? It's probably not even on the theme. It's just like, damn, again.
Listen, when them notes from that piano hit for the first time since WrestleMania, buddy, that pop is gonna be insane.
Dog, we're about to get into it, but when Paul Heyman said no last night and that fucking pop, dude, oh my God. I know when Roman comes back, like, people are going to cry.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild.
Van Twinblade says, okay, Phil, St. Louis or Indy? Also, J Rose, where you at? Your man is hating. J Rose is having the time of his life, and I'm gonna have to get him on a pod to talk about it. But Van Twinblade laid it out. St. Louis or Indiana? Which one?
Shout out to J Rose. St. Louis. Sorry.
There you go.
If you're thinking about Indiana, Indiana stopped my beloved Bears from winning Super Bowl in 2007. That's also where Reggie Miller played. I mean, currently, right now, the Chicago Sky's biggest rival are the Indiana Fever. Those games have been fire. Sunday's game was very good. Shout out to Angel Reese. Took that one home for us. Got in our bag. They thought we was finished. They thought we was done pimping. Mm-hmm. Came back and put them right away in the fourth quarter. Got them right on right.
Yeah. So if you had any question as to why Phil feels this way about Indianapolis, Indiana, there you go. A bunch of reasons.
There are several reasons, man. I still have not quite gotten over watching Devin Hester run that touchdown in and sitting there like, this is it. We got him. We winning. And then for the next 2 hours, just being completely miserable.
Oh, I forgot about Peyton Manning too. Damn. Yeah, tough.
He didn't play that good that game.
He did not at all. He didn't. They like scraped through that win, honestly. Yeah.
Good old sexy Rexy, man.
Different times,
man. Which if you follow me on IG, I've some people don't understand my IG name because my IG name is Dreads Grossman. It's a play off of Rex Grossman.
Still giving it up to Rex Grossman is really funny.
Come on, man. Chicago legend, sex cannon, buddy.
Coffee Black still on the topic too says. Also, I agree with Phil. Indiana is cheeks.
Man, I don't know. The crazy part is I'm saying all these things about this place, and I've never actually been to Indianapolis. I'm always in and out of Indiana. Always, because again, you go in there, you get what you need, you go get your gas or cigarettes or whatever, fireworks, and you go home. You don't stay in Indiana. What's there in Indiana to see?
Yeah,
corn.
Corn.
You see some cornfields, like.
Listen. I've never been to either one Van Twinblade, St. Louis or Indy. But if they were like, do you want to go to St. Louis or Indy? I'm going to St. Louis, like food and like culture. It feels like St. Louis would be more geared towards what I would like. But, I don't know. Indianapolis could also have it too. I don't know. J Rose talks very highly of his home,
Yeah. Listen, man, that's the other thing about Midwest as well is that a lot of the states in the Midwest, we have this shared cultural experience as Midwesterners, but most of the Midwest states look their nose up at each other. Like, just think about how much I've told you I don't like Detroit. Like,
Midwest, y'all are so funny because ain't not a lot to do there, so you got to beef with each other, Well, there's a lot to do where you live, but some of them it's not.
Yeah, we're all fighting for acceptance in this country, and East Coast and West Coast gets a lot of the love, and so every time the Midwest gets things, it feels special, and so, but out of all the Midwest states / cities, in Chicago, this is what it is.
It is exactly what it is. Ten Ruza says new Drake pick is whack. What pick?
I didn't see it.
Reg, what is the best indie rap label at the moment? Can't wait for Forbidden Door. I am stubborn for Rick Ross to pull up.
Accusations.
Best indie rap label. There's this label called Old Soul Music that I'm like, I might actually submit like a demo to them that they're like, all the dope indie rappers are like starting to go through that label. I don't know what they're doing over there, but they're doing some really great stuff. Old Soul Music is what they're called. And yeah, they're going to be in New York. So I'm expecting some kind of hip hop connection to be there because we've already gotten, the other night after Dynamite, Westside Gunn went live on his Instagram and he was backstage at AEW with like his whole fam, and he's like, oh, we're about to go out for this weigh-in, and so he filmed something for Collision, I guess, but like he's like, no spoilers right here off rip, but I expect a lot more hip-hop presence this weekend, even though it's Forbidden Door show, which is really funny.
Yeah, Usually Swerve, when he comes to New York, it seems like he does something with rappers. Of course, he famously at Grand Slam came out with Fab.
Oh yeah, and who kid?
Yeah. So
So
usually,
many things happen, man.
yeah. So usually when he comes to New York, he does something hip hop related. He did the interview with Sirius. So it doesn't surprise me that he's got West Side Gun tapped in.
Awesome, man. I'm excited for Forbidden Door. A lot of dope stuff. We're gonna get into it fully here soon. Tony P says, Phil, try being a DMV wrestling fan, being forced to always go to New York or Philly for shows and never getting a fucking pay-per-view or PLE as a hot wrestling town. Yeah, I mean, when they talk about the hottest indie and upcoming wrestling places, they always talk about the DMV. So I feel you, Tony P.
Yeah, a lot of the legislation has stopped you guys from having a good wrestling scene down there because people have tried to bring wrestling to DMV and
We've talked to them.
Their state is, you guys' state is not really cooperating.
If they would cooperate, they would probably have the hottest wrestling territory just because of how anxious everybody on the scene is because they keep getting screwed by everything. And if they could get it together eventually, they're going to destroy it. But yeah, I definitely feel you, Tony P. Will Chisholm says, Priest just don't know that little blonde white woman Liv Morgan is going to Judgment Day to get him out of there.
Yeah, this Liv stuff. This was the first week that I was like, okay, the Liv stuff looks like it's going somewhere. The storyline stuff was actually good this week,
even though they did something controversial that a lot of people didn't like.
They did,
yeah. You didn't see? See, that's what staying off the internet does. No. Well, because like she sent the picture to Dominic.
Oh, the Texas.
Everybody.
Oh, yeah, that was a little too close. A little too close.
They're walking some fine line on some thin ice over there, my brother.
Yeah. Yeah, a little close. But I'm glad we took those tag belts off of R-Truth and Miz, man.
Bro, every time they would show up with those belts, I would be screaming at my TV. When Miz was on commentary and I'm like, he still has that belt, I'm going to yell.
It was time.
So finally, Finn and big-headed JD did their thing.
Yeah. Good, man. Finn and Minecraft version of Finn picked up the win and did the Spider-Man meme. Good for them.
No, but shout out to JD. He been living his Bronny and LeBron James moment. He been posting old pictures of him and Finn back in the day. Like, I'm like, yo, he getting this Nike commercial off right now, I think.
Yeah, me and my dad outside. Stop playing.
My dad and I won the championships, big dog. What you gonna do? But yeah, long time coming. Awesome truth. They had the WrestleMania moment and they still were letting them be the champions. I'm like, Phil, what the fuck is going on here?
It had definitely outworn its welcome with me. I was ready.
So thank God. Shout out to the Judgment Day for that. Hey, what's over there says, what do you guys think the all-in card is going to be?
Based on some stuff we saw on Dynamite, it seems like we could get Will Ospreay versus MJF.
That's what it's smelling like to me. Yep, I think that's going to be on the card. I'm feeling like Brian might be the one in the Owen, so I'd expect him to be taking on the world champion.
I think he will be wrestling Swerve at that show, if I had to guess.
And just them two matches.
I hope they got something big for Daniel Garcia, man. Because based off that reaction in Buffalo and the storyline they're building, give this guy a big match at Wembley, man.
What do you think? Because the boy Pac has kind of said it out loud about wanting to have a big moment himself. What do you think could be in the works for him?
That's tough, man. Pac is another one I want to see get a big match.
Me too.
Man, Pac versus Ospreay makes a lot of sense, but I
don't.
It
does. I know.
I don't think that's going to be the match, though, man. Man, that would be a good one, though. I don't know.
We keep forgetting about your old boy Ricochet is supposed to be in play, too.
Ricochet is in play. He could end up on that card as well.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Ricochet Pac also could be a slapper.
Ricochet Pac is crazy. But, I mean, you know they're going to get the urge to want to do Ricochet and Ospreay just because of the history.
Other matches on that card, pretty much got the world title match. I'm assuming Mariah is going to win the women's own, and it's probably
That
going to
one-
be Mariah versus Timeless Tony Storm for the AEW Women's Championship.
That one kind of feels like, yeah, we see that one.
Mariah's from the UK.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to happen.
What about Mercedes?
That one's kind of up in the air. Of course, that was Mercedes' kind of pseudo debut with the company because she was in the crowd at All In last year. So I have to assume they're going to have a big match for her. If I'm guessing, like, what is the biggest match you could possibly book for her? Who is the biggest star? It's probably Britt Baker. I'm trying to think other names.
Better than I was thinking Saraya. I'll definitely take
no.
Britt over Saraya.
Maybe they're going to do the Saraya match.
Saraya has been like, I wanted to do this match for a long time. She injured me, blah, blah, blah. They're trying to tell the story. I mean,
yeah. Maybe it's going to be Saraya because we don't know when Britt's going to be back. But I have to assume if Britt's back by then, that's probably going to be the match.
Yeah. Britt does make a lot more sense.
Yeah, because you want, if it's the biggest like marquee match you can do with the women, two of the biggest names, I think Britt makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think All In's going to be pretty sick. Hopefully they get some momentum behind like the tag belts and they get like a big tag match going on. Still got the machine guns kind of looming. I was kind of hoping that Edge and Christian were going to get it back together for this, but your boy Adam's at home, so that's not going to happen.
If it were me picking a tag match, I think it should be Grizzled Young Vets versus the Young Bucks.
Oh. Yeah.
In Wembley, Grizzled Young Vets would hit hard, bro. That's the match.
And let these boys go for it. Oh, yeah. That's definitely the one. And then, we still got they could still have like big moments set aside. Still got your homegirl, Jamie Hayter, sitting back, waiting for an opportunity, waiting for a moment. Like,
yeah, I wonder what her status is when she's going to be back.
It's going to be a lot of reintroductions if you bringing it back like Britt, Jamie. Like it's going to start to get a little bit crowded up in that women's division, honestly.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah. If a certain other wrestler is ready by then, I have to assume that might be the place where we see Omega Okada 5.
I haven't even been thinking about Kenny, Phil. Oh my God. If we get that match at All In Wembley, I don't know what the possibilities are, but
I mean,
it's insane
because All In had all of the publicity and everything last year. Felt like their biggest show in terms of hype and all these other things, but the card in some ways didn't match that hype, and this
didn't
card
have that match.
This card that I'm like, even just laying out this card and having storylines that have been playing out for a year, possibly culminating there, possibly having a big Bryan match there, and possibly having Okada Omega there, that's easily going to be their biggest show of the year.
It might be their biggest show ever, honestly. I'm just continuously thinking of the end of the show, Bryan's holding the belt up and everybody's doing the whole crowd. Like, that's a crazy moment, man.
Ooh.
But yeah, just laying out the card tentatively like we did right now, like it's already way better than what last year was.
Yeah, which makes me wonder again, what are we actually getting for All Out?
I always forget that that's like right afterwards.
It's 2 weeks away because they moved it. It's not going to be during Labor Day weekend this time. It's actually going to be the following week.
Oh.
So it's 2 weeks away.
Huh. That might be better for flights. Just thinking for myself.
Maybe. But yeah, it does feel weird that it's not going to be at Labor Day weekend because AEW has something Labor Day weekend for the last 6 years.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like Chicago, Labor Day. It's just kind of, synonymous. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Will Chisholm says, Phil, you didn't get everything you wanted. Chris Jericho's still on the card.
Listen. Sometimes you got to take the good with the bad in life, man.
I like the learning tree.
Bro, we getting Suzuki, and Suzuki is not wrestling somebody else on this card that I would rather see him wrestle. There's so many other people in that company. I'm like, man, you can get this guy a Suzuki match, and this is where we're going with.
I like the learning tree.
But part of my soul died watching Private Party lose on Saturday. I was like, and I knew they were going to lose going into the build of it and everything. I was like, they're going to lose. But I was like, why are we doing this?
That was a tough one.
It was a good match, though.
I do like the learning curve, though.
No, you don't.
No,
you don't.
Ronan Mike Quip says, happy birthday, Phil. Whatever you do, don't go to Joe's Pizza. Check out Scars or Mama Two's and make sure to get a chopped cheese before you leave the city. No, he's with somebody that wouldn't let him do anything egregious like that. So
I don't even know what Joe's Pizza is. Is that like the other place where you can just get like a dollar slice, like two bros?
Oh, that could be what that is.
Maybe that's what he's talking about. But yeah, those are like the cheap pizza places. I assume that's what you mean.
And like your homie wouldn't let you do that at all.
No, I would think not. He actually gave me a recommendation for a dope taco place that I went last night that was actually fire.
Oh, okay. Good tacos in New York.
No, they got good food here. I won't hate on the food here, man. I
tacos though.
Yeah, it's a good amalgamation here because New York is a melting pot. So
yeah, I guess so. I just wouldn't, as California, I'm like, I ain't gonna tacos in no fucking New York.
I've seen people say that with Chicago, and I'm like, no, the amount of Mexican people that live in Chicago, you can get good tacos there.
Yeah, no, I thought that too until I went to Chicago. I was like, oh yeah, there's hella Mexicans here.
Bro, you go to the West Side, bro, very segregated city. You go to the West Side, that's all you see is Mexicans.
Not like California. I'm like, yo, this is just California, I think, you guys. I love it. Shout out to my Latino homies. Aaron Busby, shout out to my friend Aaron Busby too, says, happy early birthday, Phil. Always been a good dude and you deserve all the blessings coming your way. Also, it'd be nice if the Bay gets a SummerSlam next year. Look, Busby, we get all kind of stuff, man. I come on this show and said,
got a WrestleMania, bro.
I was going to say, I come on this show for years and say I'm tired of Phil, but really, we've been getting so much stuff. We just got a WrestleMania. Like, that's the biggest show of all time. We count Vegas too. We're getting another one.
Yeah, but yeah, appreciate you, Busby. But yeah, y'all just got a WrestleMania, and I mean, I know somebody's gonna be like, y'all got Survivor Series. I still feel a way about Survivor Series that I was not out there.
Yeah,
Punk was there, and I had to be other places.
That's probably one of the dirtiest times they ever did my homie, though. They like, hey, come back here, and like, wow, a big giant moment's happening out there. It's crazy.
I can't believe they did that to us.
That was crazy. I remember like texting you and you being like, what happened? We're back here. I'm like, you're back where? Before the show's over, but I get it. Those pressers and stuff, they move. The moving parts are fast. And hey, what's over there says maybe Mercedes and Camille versus Britt and Jamie, and maybe Daniel versus Djack. Oh yeah,
Daniel versus Djack would be
Daniel
hard.
versus Djack. I never thought about that. That's a really good one.
Yeah, I would like that. That's
like
assuming
that
Djack. That's assuming Djack wins the TNT title, I guess.
That for the belt too. Yeah, that's a really good match right there. Honestly, I like that. That's all of our super chats for now. Y'all are dope.
Appreciate you guys. We're gonna get into some upper chats.
Who do you think's gonna be the real quick tonight's homegirl made a open challenge and people are saying it might be Camille?
Oh well, it got spoiled for us.
I didn't see.
The news is already out there. I've seen pictures of it, so I won't spoil it for you guys. But I've already seen it.
I've remained spoiler free. Look out for me. I don't know how in the world.
I already know. I already know who it is. It's like a well-known AEW original.
How did I get here?
Yeah, I won't spoil it for
a well-known AEW original. Mercedes Martinez.
No.
Okay.
Where's Mercedes though, man?
Yeah,
I would like to see her. But yeah, that's coming up tonight. I saw people have already put their fan pictures out. I've seen fan pictures of the weigh-in as well, which it looks cool. There's a guy that I've been wanting to see them put on TV that's out there, so that was kind of fire.
Yeah, as I was watching Guns live, and people started coming out. I was like, oh, an interesting person that I like is in there. Finally getting on TV.
Yeah, good for him. Very happy to see that. Let's get into some of these Humper Chats. Again, if you want to send us your Humper Chats, humperchats.com/Fightful. See, we got some from Humper Chat regular, Tony P. First of all, thank you for doing well at your black job. For real though, that was a fucking train wreck Thursday, and we still need to vote. Make sure we then work harder to never see shit like that ever happen again. Yeah, I keep hoping this nightmare will end, but it just won't. And I don't care what the other guy looked like. There's a guy that in this election I will never ever vote for. I don't give a fuck if there's a damn praying mantis going against him. I'm not voting. Like, it's not happening.
My sentiments are exactly the same as Phil. I don't give a fuck what happens on the other side. Never in my life would I.
It could be a monkey with cymbals over there. I'd be like, nah, he keeping beat though.
Hey, the monkey,
he got rhythm, so I'm rocking with that guy.
You sure told me to shake that monkey, so that's what we going with.
Jesus said, "Shake them dreads," so shake them.
I'm saying, but yeah, never. He would never.
More from Tony P. He says, as for Petty of the Week, on the low, it has to be Osprey or Drew. But you can add your own candidates. Will for stealing Max's thunder, and Drew just for the line about the bracelet. Also, shout out to Brazzers for their Paul tweet. I did not see this Brazzers tweet you're talking about.
Brazzers?
That SmackDown ending was funny and it ruled. One of the funniest tweets I saw during the debate was Hoodfoot was like, "I'm gonna go watch the other Trump."
Yeah, that was crazy.
that was wild. Shout out to Hoodfoot, man.
Shout out to the homie Hoodfoot. Yeah, what how many black jobs have you had in your life, Phil?
Not enough, I guess.
Yeah, me neither. I'm trying to think. I don't think.
Bro was like, let me not. Let me not. This guy, man. Let's see. Line some more up here from Tony P. So are we all in agreement that they made clear Finn is going to screw Damian? What has made me the most curious about this, though, is Dom's arc. Will he stay with Rhea or go with Liv, completing her goal? Yeah, it kind of feels like they're gonna fracture I was about to say Bloodline, but they're gonna fracture Judgment Day. It seems like I have to assume that some of them are gonna side with Liv, because if you're from Finn's point of view, hey man, I'm all right with Liv. She came and brought us the nice video game, and she got us a title shot. We won. Like, Liv, all right to me.
Yeah. Do you think they're still gonna keep the Judgment Day name, or are they gonna scratch?
I don't know. The stipulation for the Money in the Bank also makes it interesting. We didn't really get into that, but Seth introduced the idea of the stipulation that if he loses, he cannot challenge for the title as long as Damian is champion. But if Damian loses, he has to leave Judgment Day. That makes me even more believe that Damian's going to lose. I think the stipulation is good, though, because it does make it feel like it could go either way. But just based on the story stuff and the way they've been kind of slowly planting the seed for him to leave, almost his entire title run, he's been kind of a face. I kind of think he's going to lose and leave the group.
Yeah, I'm with Tony here, too, as I think that Finn's going to be the reason.
Yeah, I think
Gonna set up him and Finn for SummerSlam, maybe?
Maybe so. Maybe, I don't know what is Dom's status with his injury.
I thought he was back. Didn't he have a match?
Did he? I don't remember. Maybe. Tony also says, what he does after this, he can't stay with either of them forever. For most men, Money in the Bank, my guess is it's Drew or Jay's to win. I can't see any of the other people getting it other than Chad, but he hasn't been built to a main event level yet. My wild card pick, and I think it would make a lot of sense because he doesn't have anything else going, and you kind of need a way to make him feel like he can be a main eventer or world title guy, is Andrade. I think Andrade makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because people keep saying Jay, and I'm like, but Jay, who's Jay gonna
No.
cash in on though?
I do not want to see Jay with that briefcase.
Right, like that's like maybe my least most interesting choice out of all the choices. Like Jay is still over and everything. Like it's still the iron's still hot, but I don't think him being the Money in the Bank is the way to go.
No, I wouldn't do that. I think Andrade makes a lot of sense, and
Mhm.
it's usually works better as a heel gimmick as well.
That's what I'm thinking. Also,
I would rather see a heel win it, and that's partially why I don't want to see Jay win it.
Mhm.
Drew makes sense, but I don't know. I kind of think that Punk is going to return and cost Drew the match.
I feel like Drew won't get the use out of it. They're just gonna use it kind of like to further the angles he's already in. Like it won't be to like get
Yeah.
the briefcase over, and they should probably put it on somebody that's going to get the briefcase up, carry it, and tease all those things. And I don't think Drew's going to do all that.
The only way I see Drew winning is if Punk costs him his cash in.
Mhm.
And
Exactly, and that's the same type of thing. And like, you don't want
Yeah.
to do it just for that.
yeah, I don't really have any interest in seeing him win it just to get a failed cash in, possibly.
Yeah, like just to kind of rehash the Clash of the Castle thing, but with the briefcase this time. Like, nah, I'm not really that interested in that.
Yeah, unless he goes into SummerSlam with the briefcase and gets the match against Punk and he just cashes in later. I don't know.
Or he does the call out thing. He wins, and he's like, "Oh, I'm adding myself to the SummerSlam match."
Maybe,
He's a
but I
heel,
feel
though. He probably wouldn't do that.
maybe, but I feel like they've been building up Punk's big match being at SummerSlam all this time. I think that's probably going to be Drew's match.
So that's probably why they didn't make him the world champion then, huh? I guess that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. See, more from Tony P says, on to AEW stories, which is funny. Yeah. Fans say they have too many stories, and the grifters say they have none. My thing is the stories are okay, but at points they overcomplicate them at key points, which makes for confusion. It is okay to not do too much. Hell, look at the women's stories, which we may say is the highlight of the show now after years of complaints. Yeah, I think the women's stuff has been clicking. I know people were not happy about Tony's quote this week of him feeling like he has the best women's division in the world, but he wasn't far off. When you compare where other women's divisions are right now, he might not be wrong, because I would have said Stardom a few years ago, but Stardom isn't as hot as it was last year. Impact has lost some steam. And WWE can be very hit or miss sometimes. So he might not be wrong.
Who's the world champion on top at SmackDown?
Bailey.
That's why I was like, I cannot think of who's on top over there. Yeah, the WWE women's divisions on either side aren't that great. Like, I hate that on the Raw side, they're adding Liv into the Rhea thing, so that just means she's never going to defend her belt because she's involved with this.
She at least got somebody that looks like she's going to be the challenger now in Selena, because I was wondering what was going on.
Right, exactly. So I hate when they do that thing of like, oh yeah, they're making her a bigger star, but at the sacrifice of the championship. So I hope that they could get it together. But yeah, I mean, if I'm Tony Khan, that's what I'm going to say, especially if we're cooking and like we got some of the best women's wrestlers in the world. Mercedes just come in. Yo, we got the best division in the world. What do you mean?
Yeah, and Mercedes been outside doing all of the media stuff. She's looking great. She's having fire matches. He might not be wrong. You know that you got some big wrestlers coming back soon, possibly, and Britt and possibly Jamie Hayter.
Yeah.
They possibly got Camille coming in. They finally got some traction with the Stardom stuff, and they can use Stardom wrestlers regularly. He just talked about possibly sending some women over to Japan to compete in Stardom events. He got reason to say that.
That's crazy.
It's debatable.
Kind of crazy where we are with Forbidden Door, though, Phil, because remember every year before this, that's all we would really be talking about is where the Stardom representation is. Now it's like,
I asked at the press conference for the very first Forbidden Door, did he have any interest in working with Stardom? And, we didn't get much progress in it last year, but this year we got a lot of it. So it's good.
Yeah, you about to see some shit, man. That tag match is about to be crazy.
Yeah, exciting. Very exciting. See, we got some more Humper chats. You were kind of in the middle of this AEW doesn't have stories discourse this week. And when it was happening, I was just like, I guess if you don't know how my friend talks, then maybe. But I knew what he meant. And the way people were overreacting, I was just like, okay, calm down.
I mean, we talk about it all the time, how we can't say anything. So I knew what was going to come of it. But it's like, I always want to get over the point that I'm not attacking you, brother. I'm just, I'm like saying a general broad statement. But people feel like I said, hey, at blah, 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 fuck you. And I'm like, that's not what happened here.
No, I get what it is. And, you know, it's like I tweeted. I think that AEW does tell stories. Their approach to storytelling is just different from what people are used to. And because of that, it might not appeal to some people. As somebody that watch a lot of Japanese wrestling and that watches a lot of stuff that influenced AEW, I think it's great. But of course, everybody's not going to share that opinion. And it's fine to be like, this is not for me. I prefer what this company does. Mm-hmm. It's all right.
Yeah, see, Phil always puts what I say more eloquently. I'm like, Vince McMahon corrupted all your brains, and Phil's like, not necessarily what happened, but it's like this. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel. It's like we're so used to stories and how they're told, and there has to be a promo, and there has to be this, and it has to be this way, and it's like, no, like historically, stories have been told in a different way in different promotions. In Japan, they tell stories way different than they do in American promotions. And the people that are telling the stories in AEW are influenced by that. They're influenced by Ring of Honor. They're influenced by old Japanese stuff. So it's like, it's going to be a different way of presenting. And it's going to, some people are just not going to ever accept that, is what I was saying. But like, that gets crazy.
Yeah. You know, it's just not going to be for everybody. Just like WWE style storytelling is not going to be for some people, and that's okay. But when people act like, all right, this isn't for me, so it shouldn't exist, that's what I can't really get with.
Exactly. Or it's for you, you're dumb for liking this. It's like,
all right, I'm good on that.
That's too much. Like I talk all crazy and say things about WWE, but SmackDown last night was fucking amazing. I loved it. They did a bunch of really great stuff. Like it's nothing's forever. Things can change, and even if every time they're not presenting the stories that I want, sometimes they will present the stories what I want. So
yeah, that's just what it is. Sometimes you gotta wrestling. You got to take the good with the bad. Sometimes you're not going to get all of the stuff you want. And that's okay. I just think people also need to relax. I mean, that's a good place to get into SmackDown at MSG. Because I thought it was a really good show. They usually bring the kind of the good angles for these shows because MSG, of course, is a hub for WWE. And I thought they did a lot of really cool things last night. I, of course, watched it later. I didn't watch it live, but I knew a few people that went to the show. The crowd looked dope. I thought it was a very smart idea to play off of the playoffs this year with the Brunson and Halliburton thing. Also with all this stuff in Indiana with the news this week, Halliburton was kind of front and center for all of this because Halliburton's a wrestling fan. That shirt they put out for him is super dope.
Both of their shirts. I like Brunson's shirt too.
Yeah. That Halliburton shirt is dope though. And I was like, man, Indiana. that shirt is fired up. But yeah, it also kind of vindicated me because we're a wrestling podcast and I come on here and talk about basketball all the time. And then the wrestling thing did the basketball thing. And I was like, hey, maybe you should listen to me sometimes. It's cool.
Bill was right again. Who's surprised?
But yeah, I thought that was really cool. I thought Logan bringing out Halliburton and just the way they introduced Brunson into it was smooth. Him being over there. And their like little standoff was really funny. And
I love that Halliburton walking by him and seeing him and Brunson being like, what's up? And Halliburton being like, I'm not even worried about that, big dog.
Nobody worried about you. We beat you. We got you washed up.
That moment last night felt like, so I think somebody tweeted about it, like when Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone showed up to Nitro and they squirt, like it felt like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, two currently of the biggest NBA superstars are on this wrestling show. Like, in a wrestling angle. Like Brunson has a chair. Like this is like, what's going on here? This is wild.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Very regional thing as well. Because Madison Square Garden is a hub for WWE, and you're at a point where the Knicks are actually good. Knicks made some good moves this week too. Just brought in Mikal Bridges. Knicks are popular again, and man, that
those
reaction.
New York fans are so excited, man. Oh my god,
that reaction to Brunson, man. You talking about a pop? That guy got a massive pop in Madison Square Garden. But also the way they started the show was good. I thought opening right away with the Bloodline stuff and building to the 6-man match at Money in the Bank was good. Having Cody and the baby faces come out and confront them and have the beatdown angle, I thought that was really smart.
Having you got some. He's like, hey, get out of here. No, I thought the starting it out really hot like that was dope. Having KO hit the big Jeff Hardy swanton. He always loves taking these. He's become the Mick Foley bump taker of the WWE, and I love it so much. Starting them out, what do you think the philosophy behind kind of having them thrown out of the building just to kind of keep the last angle hot, and we're not hoping for Cody to come back?
I think it was smart because a lot of times when they would do those Bloodline angles when Roman was there, he would end up having like these like 30-40 minute angles, and none of their enemies would ever come out and interfere in it. So I think getting that out the way right away and saying like, okay, this is the explanation of why Cody and those guys wouldn't come out. That made a lot of sense.
Right. Like, so at the end they won't come out to help Paul Heyman or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was a very hot way to open the show. That got a great reaction for Cody and Randy and KO. But also, build up to stuff later because as soon as we got backstage, Paul was like, "Where's Jacob?"
Every time he said it, I died. Phil.
He's like, "Where's Jacob?" And he's like, "Oh, he's not here." Which as soon as he said that, I was like, "Oh, he's lying. He's definitely lying."
No, but Paul Heyman was killing me because he'd go through a whole monologue and he'd be like, "But Solo, where's Jacob?"
Yeah, so funny. So funny that that's turned into a bit. But yeah, I mean, even using the Brunson and Halliburton stuff to play into the qualifier match for the Money in the Bank was smart. LA Knight, of course, won, and so he is heading the Money in the Bank. The women's Money in the Bank stuff was interesting because you already started this stuff early in the night with Jade Cargill and Indy Hartwell interfering in that match, and so that also spilled into the match for the qualifier later, and that's how Naomi won. I thought that was really smart as well. Naomi had that she had that gear on too that was dope. That was based on, it looked like it was based on the Xbox controller.
Yeah. I thought that all the matches were hot. Another story that needs to be told, and I saw it on Raw and same thing on SmackDown. The amount of distraction finishes is ridiculous. Every single qualifying match had some kind of distraction finish. Pretty much almost 95% of their finishes are distraction finishes. We need to do something about this.
Yeah, it was a bit much. I was fine with the one in the women's match because it played into the storyline with Jade and Naomi and Bianca. I thought that made sense. I still think that they're kind of giving us red herrings with Bianca and making it seem like,
they're trying to make it like Bianca's going to be the one.
Yeah, it looks like, Jade and Naomi are kind of on the right side right now. They're on the same page, but Bianca is getting more irritated. I wouldn't be surprised if we get Naomi versus Bayley at SummerSlam as well.
It kind of feels like they're telling that story every time they have like little interactions. It feels like there's like Naomi's
not
like
feeling her, bro.
Bayley's like, yeah, we're great. We're having this good thing. And Naomi's kind of like, but I kind of want that championship though. Like we're friends and everything, but like that belt's looking kind of good.
Yeah, I think on the women's side, I would really like it if Naomi won the Money in the Bank, but I assume there's going to be Tiffany that wins it.
Feels like it's Tiffy time. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm assuming Bianca Bayley makes the most sense for the SummerSlam match.
Like I liked both of those women's matches, like the Tiffany and Candice. Like the matches were great, but it's just the finishes that were kind of unfortunate. What do you think of Tiffany Stratton and where we've gotten. She was the hottest women's wrestler on the roster, and then some unfortunate video was released, and now they're teaming her up with Nia Jax to rehab her image.
They had to do the about face. Yeah, Shelton Mysterio, you're actually right. I forgot because Nia is Queen of the Ring. She's going to be wrestling Bayley because she's already number one contender. I forgot about that.
Just like the Gunther thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they've had to do an about face, and everything I've seen since then has confirmed my belief that they had to pivot in that Queen of the Ring match. Tiffany still looks good, but boy, you talk about a weird, unforced era that basically have to give people some time to forget. Hopefully, I guess. I don't know.
It works because she got a big fucking pop when she won that match, and also the live crowd they don't care about. Like people in that crowd probably don't even know what that video is.
No, and that's why I'm like, give it some time to get away from it, and that's where we're at. Take her off TV, let it die down.
Did you watch a regular Fox feed? Because there were a bunch of weird edits happening throughout the episode. Like when Logan Paul came out, like the screen would just black out. Like I thought it was just mine while I was watching the show. And so like randomly the screen would go black like throughout the whole show. And so I go on the internet and like, oh, everybody's experiencing this because Fox was like editing on the, so when like a holy shit or a chant would happen, Fox would black out the screen instead of editing the audio.
I did not see this.
Yours wasn't doing this? Yo, it was weird, man.
Yeah, I did not see that. That's weird. But this isn't the first time they've done that because I feel like this happened on a Fox feed before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard about this happening before, but this is my first time experiencing it. And so this is like, people are like, can't wait to get to Netflix. Can't wait to get to Netflix. Things are really going to change. It was just like, I don't know what was going on there. But Logan Paul still something, like, I know he has a lot of controversy, but like as a wrestling character, like, I don't know what it is. It's weird.
It's not really clicking for me. And I also would like to point out that people tried to lie on LA Knight's name and say that he wasn't hot no more. That guy is still very over, bro. I don't know what y'all talking about, man.
Super over. I'm like, oh, this guy isn't over. When he got that 1, 2, 3, you would have thought he won the championship.
Yeah. And again, putting him in a situation where he could get all of the residual attention off of the Halliburton and Brunson stuff was very smart. Having Brunson be the guy to raise his hand, I thought that was very smart.
Oh, LA Knight, does he have any kind of dog in this winning the briefcase?
The only reason I don't think he's going to win the briefcase is because it seems like they are setting up him versus Logan Paul. I assume that's probably going to be a SummerSlam match.
Yeah, him getting the pin over him felt like that's what was setting it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, the big hottest part of this show, though, was after the beginning angle, Paul Heyman was asking Solo what the hell was up and when Roman's going to come back. And Solo's like, that nigga ain't never coming back. I'm the big dog around here. You're going to
I'm the captain now.
Tonight. So he tells Paul Heyman, you're going to acknowledge me tonight. Paul Heyman's still like, where's the homie Jacob at? The Bloodline comes out and they introduce Jacob, who has a new song. He has a new video screen. There's some fire going on. Like we said, Phil, that entrance and like his presentation has been like A1 since he debuted.
Incredible. I thought the way that they played out the segment has confirmed some things for me. The more and more I see Solo in this role, the more I like it.
Yes.
He works. He's not Roman, but I think the idea of him being like this guy that just took the opportunity to take that spot. And it also is like, this has been long-term booking of them setting up Solo to be this guy. And the more and more we see it, it works for me. The start of the segment when Paul was getting ready to talk and he immediately put his hand out like Roman did. And we've seen this play out with Jimmy, where Jimmy did it and everybody was like, Jimmy, yeah, you're a joke. You're not Roman. And everybody kind of laughed at him and made a joke out of it. But when Solo did it last night, you could see the same level of fear that Roman instilled. And it was kind of like Paul was looking around like, man, I better be giving this mic, man. And so it gave him the mic and he commanded the room. Really, I was like, I was impressed. He really commanded the situation. He looked like a fitting leader of those guys. when he introduced Jacob and Jacob came out with the fire entrance, I was like, yo, they got some heat here. This feels like old Bloodline segments without Roman. And it confirmed for me when people were like, oh, if he doesn't beat Cody, then the Bloodline stuff is over. What interesting are they going to do with it? No, it's been pretty hot without him being champion and not him being around. You can still tell stories that don't revolve around the championship. I would actually argue the Bloodline segments are better now because the championship is not involved. It feels fresh.
Yep. I think everything that you're saying is right on the money. Solo, initially, people were just kind of like, Solo's going to be the guy. And even when they brought up Jacob, people were like, okay, cool. Jacob could be the leader now, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, Jacob's role is not to be the leader here.
Yeah.
I kind of like it more that Solo's the like little bro that kind of came up and was like, nah, this is mine now. Like, I was prepped for this. Like, I stood behind Roman. I stood beside him. I did his dirty work. Like, I'm about to take this over. Who else is going to take it? Come take it from me. And then him kind of building his own army and getting like an enforcer like Jacob. I think his swagger and the way that he's moving, I'm like, yeah, no, I like this now. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I think what they're doing with building this new version of Bloodline is really smart. I said before, I think it makes all the sense in the world that he wouldn't go and get guys that would follow Roman. He's going and getting guys that may have a closer relationship like Rock had with Haku.
Yep.
Going and getting Haku's sons makes all the sense in the world. When he did that roll call and they were all acknowledging him, I was like, nah, this works, man.
This is hard, yeah.
Like, because I mean, you already know that Tama Tonga is very good. Like, he's smooth and he can do the character stuff. But like, when he and Tama Lau stepped forward and they were like, yo, we acknowledge you. You're a tribal chief. I was like, nah, this is hidden. And then adding Jacob has just made it even better. Like I said, his entrance is better. Just his presence and everything, it just adds so much to it. They did some really smart stuff here with the Madison Square Garden crowd. Straight away establishing what the Wild Samoans meant to Madison Square Garden in that era
with the
of
video.
WWE.
Yeah.
And then playing up that what that meant for the culture. And now you have somebody that is usurping that spot and is not respecting the rules and the order to this thing. That made a lot of sense because that immediately got heat on them. When when they first started the roll call and everybody was acknowledging him, and Solo started and was like, acknowledge me, and Paul didn't have a mic and he was like, what? I died laughing. I died laughing.
I thought Paul Heyman was on fire. I mean, the whole night, but him just like physically having tears in his eyes because he's like, I can't, dude. Like, I can't. Like,
this isn't
like,
the rules.
I know
you can't
that
do
Roman's watching this on TV, dude. I can't believe you're putting me in this position. Was amazing.
Yeah, nah, when he yelled what like that, and you can hear him on TV without the microphone, I was dying laughing. And he was like covering his mouth and everything, and like all of the physical stuff he's done. Paul Heyman is one of the greatest storytellers in this entire industry.
I mean, I'm ECW young boy for a reason, bro. When he pulled out the lei from the bag and Heyman's face of like, you could think I'm about to put that around your neck, absolutely,
so good. But yeah, just the fact that he's got like the stubble and stuff, it shows he hasn't been like sleeping and he hasn't been shaving. He looks like a disheveled mess. His eyes are all like red and he's looking like, what is going on? But when he pulled that lei out the bag and he was in just complete disbelief, like, where did you get that? I thought that was great again because it played off of all of the stuff with the Wild Samoans and Roman of like, no, only the tribal chief is allowed to wear that. And not just that, like, how dare you do that when we're in a spot of mourning right now. And it just almost, it felt like the timing of it is like, man, have some respect. Crazy. And it's like, it's just,
it represents because Paul Heyman was there. He's to manage. He's been down.
Yeah.
And he knows that you can't, being the tribal chief isn't a lightly thing to take. You can't just pull it out of the bag and be him. Like, it takes a lot more than 3 or 4 weeks of being the leader of the bloodline to get that position.
Right. And I mean, of course, I don't want to make this all into, all right, they're using Sika's death and angle, but I think the timing of it adds even more gravitas to it because it makes it feel like, all right, it's not just that you're not following the rules. It's like you're so much of an opportunist right now. Like you're not even reading the room. Like the timing of this for you to bring out that lay here at Madison Square Garden. I mean, of course, for Solo and what it meant to his family at Madison Square Garden to take that moment, it's big for him. But it's also like maybe right now ain't the time, big dog. Like, and so like all of that stuff.
First time that WWE's ever done a post-death angle that I didn't feel like they exploited. Like I didn't feel like they were exploiting Sika. Like it like played on to the story in a good way. Like Sika would have fuck yeah. You know what I mean?
It almost felt like it was really like kind of unintentional timing of it, and it did help the moment because I feel like it added more heat to what Solo was doing. But yeah, Paul immediately, giving us the bait and switch and saying, I love you, but I do not acknowledge you as our tribal chief. And
that pop, Phil. Oh my God.
So good.
Oh my God. That crowd. I mean, it makes sense. ECW has a long history in New York. They, became ECW partly because of what happened in New York. And Paul has a really deep history with that crowd and the people there.
Yes.
So this happening in Madison Square Garden made so much sense.
And, last time that they were at Madison Square Garden, Roman was still the biggest star in the company. He got a big reaction. I believe they did a big Bloodline segment last time we were at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
So again, that crowd's like, well, where's Roman? Like, we want Roman. You're not him. You're not the guy. So that makes all of this stuff even better. That gives Solo even more heat. But man, as soon as he said, I don't acknowledge you, he didn't even hesitate. Attacked them immediately. They started jumping him immediately. Blood was in the water.
They've been waiting because Tama the whole time was chomping at the bit. He couldn't wait for it. Like, even when when Solo handed Paul Heyman the mic, Tama was like, "I'm ready for him to say the wrong thing so I can fuck him up."
Yeah, he was doing all the growling at him. This is how I know this is hitting because Tama did the growling in this. I was like, nah, this is hard. Everything about this is working, bro. I was like, this is hard, bro. But yeah, gave him
the contrast between Tama and Jacob because they're essentially trying to play the same type of role as like enforcer. I'm crazy. You don't really know what I'm gonna do, but they're doing it so different. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah. And this was the first time, since this was the first time we seen Jacob get his entrance, him coming out and having that big flashy entrance by itself and looking like a big massive star by itself.
Different.
This is the first time it felt like, oh, they're very intentionally playing up how much people like this guy, and for Solo to outright be like, well, he's my enforcer. And you can see straight away he's in that same place where Solo was when Solo came out. And it's like, no. I'm not his follower. He follows me. And it's just like, well, look, the audience don't believe you, bro, because that guy's cool. You're not as cool as he is. You used to be.
Like, we know him already, though. You can't fool us, Solo. Like, we know the type of game that Jacob brings. And Jacob kind of playing the same position as Solo did of like, I know where you guys think I'm supposed to be. You already think I should be the tribal chief, but I'm going to just play my role. I'm going to be your enforcer. I'm going to be everything you think I am until it's time to not be. Until it's time to really be the big dog, man. They're telling a lot. They told so many stories in that little segment, man.
So good.
And we still got one more big dog, I think, coming to join them.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe just yet that, the Jacob stuff is up on the up and up. I'm not sure if I really believe he's Willie with them.
I just want him to be heel, so I'm like, I want to, but I kind of understand what you're saying.
There was a bit to it that made me feel like, yeah, he's falling in line, but somebody sent him.
And the way that he was looking at Solo the whole time in the background, it was some of those looks weren't like we're on the same page looks. So
yeah, something about it either feels like he is more ambitious than he's putting on, or it feels like, he was possibly sent there by Roman. But we'll see how it plays out. I think the idea that we're questioning it makes this good.
Yep.
I thought that this was a fire way to end and start the show. I've been interested in the Bloodline stuff since WrestleMania with Solo, but right now it's really clicking.
So yeah, they jumped up the homie Paul Heyman and power bombed him Shield style through an announce table, which is also like Paul Heyman's like a 60-something-year-old man who doesn't take bumps on the regular. That shit was kind of crazy. So yeah, super hot angle. Where does Roman come back? Do you let this play out? Do you bring him back then, or do you bring him back before then? Like, do you say Roman's gonna be back at SummerSlam, or do you do like a Bloodlines beating ass at the end of SummerSlam and then we do the big return?
I think SummerSlam. I has been predicting all this time that I think he was gonna come back at SummerSlam and challenge Cody. But now there very much seems like SummerSlam is probably going to be Cody versus Solo. I think that Solo is going to lose, and I think it's going to set it up just to be like Roman's return to start the Tribal Chief character, which, if people remember, was at SummerSlam. It was at the end of the night when The Fiend won that match, and he came back with the show up and wreck everything shirt. I think he's going to show up at the end of SummerSlam and get a massive pop.
That makes sense. That pop is going to be
insane. Bro, if Cody wins that match and Solo is like laying in a ring and like the other Bloodline guys are coming to help him up, and then all of a sudden all you hear is "Ladies and gentlemen," bro, it's gonna be insane.
Yeah, people are gonna cry. Like I said, it's gonna be crazy. It's crazy that there was moments of this whole story where we were down on it. We were like, damn, they're still doing this Bloodline stuff. When's Roman gonna go with the belt? Roman's a heel. He keeps doing the same match every time. And now he's going to come back and be the number one babyface in the company and get the biggest fucking pop. And people are going to want him to be champion again. It's like the way that this shit moves so quickly is so funny.
And I don't think we're done with Rock's involvement in this. I think Rock's coming back at some point. Yeah. Which I was sitting around this week like, man, I sure would like to see The Rock, man. The Rock
I kind of miss The Rock, though.
Rock was killing it at one point, man.
The energy when The Rock was over here was different. Like I was saying on Ask Grapsody, when we would just watch like a 16-minute Twitter promo that The Rock just did for us to entertain us, and we'd all sit and analyze it. It's like that energy isn't here anymore, and I kind of want that. At some point through this year, we're gonna see Cody and Roman team up, right?
Maybe.
Like, you think Cody's going to be on their team for Summer Survivor Series, or they're going to have Sammy instead?
I don't know. I think it makes more sense for it to be Sammy, but yeah, we'll see. It depends on if Cody's got a title match at Survivor Series. But we'll see.
Do you think he's going to be champion by Survivor Series?
I think he is. I don't think he's losing that belt anytime soon.
Huh.
Maybe by the end of the year, maybe at the start of the year, he won't be champion, but I can easily see him making it all the way to WrestleMania.
You think they're not going to run it back though, right?
I don't think they should.
That would be crazy if they ran it back.
I don't think they should do that. 3 years in a row at the same main event.
I hope not, man. That'd be nuts.
No. And they've laid enough ground for me to make me think that it's possibly Cody versus Rock. I don't know. But
I hope so, just with how crazy this year was. And they announced that documentary behind the whole thing is finally coming out. So I'm like, if it's energy like that again, please let The Rock come back for WrestleMania, because he fucked the game up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're going to get into some more Humper Chats and get into some more topics. But before that, we're going to hit you with a word from our sponsor.
Yeah.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful, here to tell you about BetOnline AG. The highest credit card acceptance industry-wide, 25-plus year track record, safe and secure online environments, payouts in minutes, the fastest in the industry. You can bet big with their high limits and rebet functionality, the earliest line, so odds open before the competition, the industry's best bonuses on every qualifying deposit, and we're talking on everything. Wrestling, they got it. MMA, they got it. Boxing, they got it. But hey, you know what? I know we're Fightful. We don't just live for that. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, racing, esports, anything you can think of. Not only that, this is exclusively where Fightful gets our lines from. If you hear us talking about lines on a prediction show or on our post shows, it is always from BetOnline AG. Please bet responsibly and only bet what you can. BetOnline.ag.
You guys could not see it because as soon as that came up, I was like wiping myself down with a towel because it's very hot in my room.
Because I'm on, wipe me down, home, wipe me down, home.
Yeah, it's very hot in my room, and
Head, shoulders, knees, toes.
Yeah, I'm trying to refrain from cutting on the air conditioner because I'm right in front of it, and I just don't want it to be making a loud noise over the microphone. So, but yeah, it's very hot in here.
Dedication to the craft, man. Just gonna sweat to death for the pod. I love it.
But yeah, the other thing, other hot thing we had this week, I thought was the Wyatt Sicks thing. I thought that segment with Bo was very good. I was kind of curious what they were gonna do, but I thought Bo smoked that promo. I thought the segment made a lot of sense as well. Just somebody on this show so happened to write about what they should do next with the Wyatt Sicks, and then they happened to do what I said they would do. Go figure. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about. But I thought this was the right idea. Straight out the gate, nobody wanted all the spooky stuff, right? Nobody really wanted a prolonged mystery because most of us know it's Bo Dallas at this point. So if you kind of insult the fans' intelligence and act like we don't know it's him, then, you're going to eventually lose the fans.
People are gonna shit on it if you keep insulting their intelligence.
Yeah, and straight away with everything that happened with the real life stuff with Bray, people want to hear from Bo. People want to hear from him off the mic. They just want to see him. And so I think starting out straight away with a segment with him where he spoke candidly and he said things that were real, because that's what Bray would do. Bray would bring you in with the character. Bray would show you the character's vulnerabilities, and that's why people loved him. That's why people followed him. So I thought that this was the right move right away. They got
some bits of this interview, like he sounded like him and looked
sounded
like
exactly like him.
It was
eerie.
Oh, this is, yeah.
But I thought that this was a great call. Like I said, I thought Bo smoked it. There was a lot of like emotion to this that felt very real. And then even the story stuff I thought was great. I thought humanizing him added to the character, because again, that's what Bray would do. The Firefly Funhouse stuff and the Fiend stuff doesn't work if Bray doesn't also do all the self-referential humor and get you into the mind of who he is as a character. I mean, think of all of Bray's greatest moments and why we love Bray. I mean, the Miss Teacher promo. The Miss Teacher promo hit because that sounds like a real story. That sounds relatable. When he came back after Extreme Rules and he cut that promo as just Bray, people were in because, again, the spooky stuff is for some people, but once you let people in and you let people know who he really is, like, that's what's really going to sell people on his character.
I think that's what separated him from most characters throughout his wrestling history, is that contrast. Like, they always compared him to The Undertaker, but The Undertaker wouldn't do a thing and then the next Monday night come out and be like, add some kind of backstory or some kind of context and be like, well, actually, I'm this guy still in character that's fighting with his demons, that's fighting with blah, blah, blah. It was just like, Undertaker again, like that's what made Bray so special, is like he's gonna bring you in with some spooky shit, he's gonna bring you in with some eerie stuff, but then he's gonna kind of explain to you why and walk you through it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think him fighting his demons and getting people to come along on a ride with him has always been a big part of who Bray is. And I think a big part of what they're currently doing with the Wyatt Sicks, and it's kind of been a theme throughout Bray's time, is this idea of found family. And so I feel like that was the way to really nail home why the other four would follow him, why that they would join him, because Bray did that with like the Fireflies and all the other stuff and getting people to come into his circle. But I also think it's something to it of Bo saying, look, I lost the most important person in my life, my brother, the person that inspired me. and I didn't know what to do. And when I think about what he would have done is he would have found new family.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made all of this feel really real and honest in some ways. I loved it.
I won't say that I loved it. I have some reservations because at the end of the day, we are talking about pro wrestling. This is a wrestling show, and none of that is wrestling. None of that. They didn't say, I want to fight this guy. I want to be at this place. They haven't said nothing seems to lead to like, this is going to be a match. So that's where I'm like, I don't like, I love it. I love the intent, paying tribute to your brother, but I don't want this story because what's it going to lead to? And that was always my issue with Bray, is like, you would tell these great stories, but then the bell would ring and it's like, well, that doesn't, the allure is gone and the matches don't add up to what the allure was. And I kind of feel the same way about the people involved in this. Is like, okay, we're going to get all this story. They're going to tell all this. Then they're going to ring the bell and Dexter Loomis is going to be in there and ain't nobody going to give a shit. So it's like, it's a fine line.
Well, two things here. I do think it's a very wrestling thing because despite what I might think of wrestling fans sometimes and how annoying wrestling fans can be, wrestling is a very communal experience. And
Totally.
just think of all the lifelong friends and things that you've made through wrestling. And so I think that approach to this storyline of going like, listen, we're still all in this together. And as long as we still believe in Bray, then he's never left. And I think that's a very beautiful sentiment. But at the same time, I think the idea of found family is kind of the motive for all of the character stuff. Like, think of the first guy they attacked in Chad Gable. Chad Gable was a guy that had found family in the Alpha Academy, but he threw it away because he got greedy. And so, of course, they would be like, you had a family and you ruined it. And because of that, you're our first target.
Mm-hmm.
And even afterwards,
when are they going to fight, though?
Even afterwards, though, and Gable was like, oh, well, I was scared, guys. And it never felt like he was like, I made a mistake or I was wrong. It felt like, oh, I need you guys because I'm scared. Mm-hmm. And then having the creeds come up immediately, I thought all of that was good as well.
I did like that.
And him saying, I need somebody, I really like that. Him with the creeds has to be the next way to go.
I'm like, it feels like the internet's been wanting this for like a year. It feels like they've been even like teasing it throughout the shows for a long time.
Slow walking the dog with this, but this is the way to go. I was very excited when I saw them. Even when he was standing there talking to Otis and Max was there, and I was like, no, he's a heel now. He can't be imposing if all the other guys in his stable are also the same height as him and they're all like eye level with him. He needs some big menacing guys behind him that are going to suplex your head into the mat. He needs a woman next to him that also could stretch you out and plex you all over the ring. So I'm like, yeah, this is the move.
And the fools that follow along that same thing that he's talking about, that he's been talking about, that Olympic gold, that Olympic type grit, like those guys are it. Like, it just makes sense. Seeing him like that is gonna be big, but you needed the story with Otis and them to get to the Creed. So this all makes a lot of sense.
The other part with Bo as a character and why I'm not as worried about the wrestling side is because he's a different performer in a lot of ways than Bray. I think it's an interesting note to it that Bo in some ways peaked early because he had the NXT run where he showed you can wrestle, he showed you can do the character stuff, and it never really clicked for him on the main roster. Bray was the opposite. He had to go down there and reinvent himself and come back. But for him,
he didn't have the good shit on NXT, but then he hit on the main roster.
Right. And the wrestling side of it was never like that was never his big appeal, but Bo was always kind of different. He was always considered a better worker than him. So I'm curious how they're going to use him in this role. And he also has other guys in that stable that can wrestle. Like Nikki can wrestle.
Nikki can. Joe I was gonna say Joe Coffey, but
Joe Casey is a better wrestler than people give credit for.
He is.
Eric Rowan can still go. So I'm very curious how that's gonna work with the wrestling. But of course, the same way with all the Bray Wyatt stuff, it's always the follow up. Like, is the follow up gonna work?
How'd you feel about your boy Mark Henry being upset that the Wyatt Sicks went to go get Whataburger and a fan took? Is kayfabe?
I don't care.
Does it matter? Like the with how the social media and everything, we know everything about everybody. We know who all 6 of those people are, dude. Like, you're not like that picture didn't set the internet on fire. Everybody's like, oh my God, we discovered something. Like, it was just like a regular, like, that's life at this point, right?
I don't think it matters. I think you have 5 guys that were not on TV that are now doing something that they're excited about, paying tribute to somebody that inspired them, and they're out eating together, and fans are excited about them being out, and they took a picture. It's just that. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I get wanting to protect certain things about the business, but the business has changed.
Yeah. That's one thing that doesn't really need to be protected. And they weren't like in there with like Chad Gable, who they just killed. They're in there together. Like, they're a crew. Like, they're still keeping some form of the kayfabe.
Yeah. But I thought this vignette was a big success. I hope that they do more vignettes like this with the rest of the family members moving forward. Based on the way they set it up with Howdy interviewing himself as Bo, it kind of seems like it'll be Howdy talking to the other members as well. Mm-hmm. I think that's the right move. Straight away, I also was excited that it isn't as reliant as like on supernatural powers. It's not like the stuff just appeared on the screen or something. Nikki brought out a physical VHS, and so it's actually more grounded. It's not like, oh, well, this is happening because he can control the video, he control the lights, and we're not going to get something like WrestleMania where there's like worms and stuff crawling on the screen.
I hope not.
So I optimistic so far for it.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I think as far as execution and buzz right now, they're doing it. We'll just see what happens on the back end.
Yeah. Believe we have some more Humper chats.
Yep.
I'm sure we have super chats. From Tony P. He says, speaking of complaints, looking back on some of the complaints we had, as valid as they were, I kind of understand a couple people, other moves they did looking at this roster now. Says, don't get it twisted. They could have made chicken salad out of chicken shit and gave us more than one fucking match to get us invested in someone, even if they weren't good yet. But I see a couple of the reasons for certain moves with the division. He says, even more proof the division is way better than before, and the women are getting more and better stories. Last night on Rampage and the post-match of the main, by the way, it looks like Callis fam ends. It looks like Callis family is ending soon, since Kyle lost his belt last night to Atlantis Jr. Yeah, that was interesting. That didn't happen yet. Like, that didn't happen on TV. That didn't save that for like ROH or something.
Mm-hmm.
He lost the ROH TV title to a CMLL wrestler on their programming, and like, they didn't even make a big deal out of it. Nothing. It just kind of happened. That was weird.
Like, I thought there would be some kind of bigger announcement. Like, the people in the know, like, and everybody was watching it, but it was just like, for that brand and kind of what he's represented as that champion, and he just had, like, the past 2 or 3 weeks, he's had successful defenses on the show. And I'm sure, and it's just like an interesting choice. Like, I like it. I think it adds buzz and everything, but like, it's just interesting how they did it.
Yeah, it doesn't really bode well for people that have been complaining about ROH and how it just seems like there's no real direction with ROH sometimes, or there's no attention given to whoever has the belt. It just feels like people lose the belt and it's not important to the actual programming. Too often people lose the belt off the programming and it's not a focal storyline on the show.
Yeah. It's kind of unfortunate because that brand still has something, and like, people are still, indie wrestlers are still excited to work for it, and the people that are on the brand are still excited to put together the shows. And Death Before Dishonor is going to be fire, but it's just like, what they use the ROH brand and titles for is, there could be more. You know what I mean? Like every time they make someone an ROH champion and then they go to AEW TV and they're never on ROH TV again, it's like, well, why are you doing that? It's just some of the moves I don't really understand.
Yeah. But it could be an interesting move that could lead to some good matches for ROH, hopefully. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. From I Make Beats, he says, happy birthday weekend, Phil. It's my 34th birthday today. Hey, happy birthday. Cancer season is in effect, guys. Cancers for the win, he says. Stoked for Forbidden Door. Got to watch Paul Heyman going through announce table on my B-Day morning. Awesome. One sub for Sika. Rest in peace. P.S. Dropped my 4th album today, which is some love. Peace. Yeah, man.
Let's
Congratulations
go
on that.
Yeah, congrats on your birthday. Congrats on dropping the album. I usually drop on my birthday too. That's one of my traditions. So shout out to that.
Yeah.
What's an ice cream man? Why do I have dun 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 dun? Is there an ice cream man back there?
Yeah, it's probably an ice cream truck outside.
That's my one of my. When I retire, I want to become the ice cream man. Like, I want to get an ice cream truck. That's on my list. So if anybody wants to donate to my ice cream man, I tell people that all the time. Like, to drive an ice cream truck would be sick. I can't drive it in Oakland because they'd steal all my money. But when I get an ice cream truck and I go somewhere where I can drive, it's gonna be great.
You're gonna like actually have the ice cream truck, and you're not gonna be like Big Worm and like
like
a drug dealer with
it's gonna be like actual ice cream for the children, like not drugs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chili cheese Fritos.
You could probably get some chili cheese Fritos there. But yeah, like the SpongeBob with the bubblegum eyes and like
you sell the WWE ice cream bar.
If I can get one. If I can get some.
That used to be fire, man, with the cookie front and like the chocolate in the back.
That cookie crunch was crazy. Remember the ice cream truck? Remember that energy of being younger and the ice cream truck came through and that was like
yeah,
like Jesus was coming through the damn street at this.
You got to run in there and shake your piggy bank around and see if it's some money in there. Come back out. Yeah.
How much I got in here? I got 50 cents. 50 cents used to work back then, but now you try to get 50 cents.
Nah, you ain't gonna get none for 50 cents no more.
Oh damn, the ice tickle. You know what an ice tickle is? You used to get one of those for a quarter. Damn, we're old.
You can't do that no more. That's over with.
Shout out to ice cream, but that's gonna be when you guys see me when I'm like 65. I'm gonna be driving an ice cream with, of course, custom music because
you gonna play the Master P record, Ice Cream Man.
Mm-hmm. It's the Ice Cream Man. Yeah, I might play that, but no, it's gonna be custom Righteous Reg music.
There's some people that are not rap fans that have no idea what we're talking about. That is a super deep cut. Ice Cream Man.
That was our introduction to Master P, Mr. Ice Cream Man.
Yeah,
I remember my cousin had a VHS of rap videos on it, and that video came up, and I was like, "What is this?" But then, the next 3 or 4 weeks later, he was like the biggest rapper in the world. It was crazy.
Yeah, not to be confused with also from No Limit, Mr. Servon.
Such a great name. When it coming up, I always like I should have a dope rap name like that, but then things kind of change, and there's not really like Mr. Dope Spectacular anymore.
Mr. Dope,
usually you're like your name, you're like your name now. No more Mr. Dope Spectaculars. Rap used to be so fun. He'd be like Diabolical or something. Nah, you got to just be like yourself.
Yeah, real name, no gimmicks.
That guy coming out with a new single with Big Sean and Baby Tron. I'm interested in that. The beat sounds not that great though. So
the Eminem record?
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know. Can't say I'm excited for it, but we'll see. That is all of our Humper Chats for now. Of course, as always, if you want to send us a Humper Chat, humperchats.com/Fightful.
Yep. We're going to get into the couple of super chats that we have. Lady B says, it may just be me, but I'll be disappointed if Larry doesn't bite/attack Drew at some point during this program. Got to keep the brawl out hints going. Great job as always. Keep hustling. Thank you, Lady B. I know that would make Drew really happy if Larry bit him for sure.
Nah, at some point someone asked me if Punk should be the heel in this, and I was like, did you hear that Larry chant? That crowd's not gonna boo Punk, man. I know the reasoning why, But no, the crowd is still too happy to see him. Even in Glasgow, when I thought he was going to get all this heat and get booed, he cost him the match, and he was standing next to the crowd, and they're all like, "CM Punk, CM Punk."
Because coming off a Clash at the Castle, that's what everybody's saying. Well, isn't that a heel move that Punk made? And I was like, it is, but like
that
the
crowd still
doesn't
cheering.
care about that. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And like in wrestling, it's kind of also not. It's like he kind of just got his payback, right? It's not really about him.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, he's just, he's doing what he would always do. He's keeping a grudge.
And there's not any like hardcore healing faces, because even Drew still does like baby face things. Like he's supposed to be a heel, but like he
acts cool like a heel too, though. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's also why you can tell they're playing off certain Punk stuff. That he's a heel, but he's also a cool heel that people like.
Pretty much Punk's entire career. That's how he's always been.
Yeah.
Well, the best version is of him for me, at least. Hey, what's over there? It says, last one for the day. Do you guys think AEW will add talent for CMLL and New Japan to this year's Continental Classic? And does AEW create a Continental Classic for the women with Stardom talent?
I would love it if they did a women's Continental Classic or some kind of tournament for the women in general. That tournament that they initially did for the world title, I kind of wish they would bring that one back, where they had the Japanese side and the American side. That tournament was great. I think they should do that again.
That was awesome. See, like when they had a couple ideas like that I wish they would still do like that. Now they're just like kind of straightforward of like Dynamite, Collision, Rampage. But like when they had that of like some of the women's matches are broadcast straight from Japan, or when Thunder Rosa was the AEW Women's Champion, she was defending it overseas. It's like they need to do more stuff like that.
Yeah, and I feel like they're in a better position to do that style of tournament now, because you can do those matches with Stardom. I hope they bring that tournament back for real.
Yeah, seriously. Delayed Grat says, Vince said that wrestling is a movie. That's why in his shows, private conversations are on camera. The authority is on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny what his son-in-law said this week about essentially the same thing about we make movies, pal.
leave us alone, man.
This isn't a sports show. This is a movie about a sports. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, leave us alone, man. That and that Shane McMahon thing. I was just like, guys, leave us alone.
You guys, please leave us alone with the Shane McMahon shit. AT says, did y'all talk about the MVP Triple H stuff? We kind of got into it last week.
Extensively last week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, kind of. We kind of got about it. We just talked about it for like a whole hour, a big rant about it last week. Definitely check that out.
Yeah.
And then Janice says, next year's draft after the Civil War, do you think they should move the heel Bloodline to Raw and keep the face Bloodline on SmackDown? They could replace the Judgment Day as Raw's heel faction once they break up. Yeah, I would figure. Well, I don't know, with the transition of them going to Netflix and SmackDown going to USA, I would think they're still trying to keep Roman the face of SmackDown.
Yeah, I have to assume they're going to keep them on SmackDown. I think Wyatt Sicks is going to be the faction that replaces Judgment Day on Raw at this point.
Oh, right. Yeah. And I feel like Judgment Days, there's still going to be some kind of remnants with like JD and Finn and Liv and whatever, right?
Yeah. I have to assume so.
That's all of our super chats. Thank y'all.
I don't think we have any more Humper chats. Let me double check before we slide into another topic.
Mm-hmm. The Bloodline. But yeah, I maybe could see the heel guys going to Raw though.
Yeah, that is we do not have any more Humper chats, so we can get into some of this Dijak news. That was very interesting. Of course, unless you've been living under a rock, Dijak announced this week that he is a free agent. He is officially out of his WWE contract after he was led to believe that he was going to resign and that they were happy with what he was doing with the company. It was interesting. He very much did not seem happy, and he's very much in that mode of, I'm going to show everybody that they were wrong about me. Mm-hmm. And it is strange because Dijak at one point seemed like somebody that they were high on with NXT. He was getting big, high-profile matches. He just had a great match. He talked about that in his tweet about how he had a really good match during WrestleMania weekend that everybody was raving over. And this is where we're at. It's kind of a growing pattern as well that we're seeing. This sounds very similar to the Trevor Lee thing, where the person did not get re-signed and they were kind of shocked by it.
Yeah, this one's kind of confusing, Phil, because like what you think when I remember JBL's favorite line, if you were to create a WWE superstar and a blah blah blah, it'd become a blah blah blah. Like Dijak feels like WWE would be like, you're a world champion. This guy's like 6'8". He moves like a cruiserweight. He's fucking talks like he has it all. I thought that he was a guaranteed gonna get over there in WWE, and the fact that he never really got the opportunity to, always like he's talking now being like, oh, these are kind of what led to it. I'm like, there always felt like there was something. There was some off rip. They never wanted to give you an opportunity for whatever reason it was, because you feel like you would be the guy. And so now he's like, oh, one time I thought I did great and Vince was focused on something else I did. I think they were just trying to, they never wanted to like me. So I get confused on this though, because the adage of these people don't give a fuck about me, so I'm gonna go prove to them that I'm worth it, and they like fuck. I'm at this position now. Fuck you. I'm not gonna prove to you and then go give you my good shit. Like, oh, they didn't think I could do it, so I went out somewhere and did it and came back to them. No, why are you going back to them? They don't think you got it. Don't give your good shit to these people who don't think you got it. But that's like a WWE thing that in general, a lot of wrestlers kind of, because like Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, like it's like a Bobby Lashley, it's like a thing that's instilled in these wrestlers' brains of like, oh, they didn't think I could do it, I'll show them so I could come back and do it. And it's like, well, why would you want to show somebody who doesn't? But you know, that's another story for another day. This does feel like a pattern with Natty Neidhart having the same kind of issues. Yeah. Ricochet's gone recently. You know, with this merger and this purchase with TKO stuff, Phil, we talked about it when it happened of what it was going to look like down the line when they got established, and how contracts were going to be used and how releases and stuff were going to be established. And I think we're starting to see it now of like people who we thought were going to stay around and be lifers are just legit now cogs in the machine more than ever, you know, with UFC kind of being involved too, because the executives at top aren't like, well, Natty Neidhart has been here for 20 years and she's doing all this. She's just like, or they're just like, money, this person, money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I understand what you mean with, it does feel like I tried it there. It didn't work. Let me go somewhere else that appreciates me, and I'm going to put on my best work there. But we've seen this so many times of wrestlers dream their entire lives about being there, and their career goal, their dream was to wrestle for WWE. And so even like the most adamant people of like, that place really ruined me. I mean, look at even Punk, for example, and how badly he talked about that place. He still ended up back there.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, why would you want to go back? You said it was the worst place ever.
I mean, we've seen other success stories. Like, I mean, think of Drew. Drew's whole thing at one point was, I'm going to go away and prove that I'm better than you guys thought I was and come back and have success. And he has. And there's been other people that have done it as well. But, you know, I know for some wrestlers, that was their dream of being there. So it's kind of hard to get over that. It's hard to get past, this is where I've always wanted to be. So I don't know. I think just even the part of him talking about how they stonewalled him and they didn't even really negotiate a contract with him, that's very surprising. Like, if they just decided they were going to move on, that's one thing. But like I said, this guy just had a big match during WrestleMania weekend at TakeOver. And for them to just be like done with him, and like there wasn't even like any real communication with him, that does sound like, what do you mean? Like, that's, I can't really wrap my head around that.
He was saying that they just like complimenting, like after the match, they're complimenting him, saying his way he had just got drafted to the main roster. Like he felt like, oh, I'm good here. Just like Trevor Lee. Trevor Lee said the same exact thing.
Yeah.
They told me I was family. They told me I was gonna get a big push. They told me I was on the way, and then I'm gone. It's like, Well, I understand, like, if we're gonna have to restructure this company and contracts are gonna be different, we still should like be humans and like communicate it in a better way. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's a cutthroat business, blah blah blah. Always has been, always will be, but like, have some kind of something for these real humans behind these wrestlers. You know?
Yeah. Cutthroat business. You got shit twisted. What is it, the braids?
What is it? The braids?
Yeah, I mean, we got that Matt Camp quote this week as well about him talking about him being let go and how that whole edict they feed you of this is a family is bullshit and all this other stuff. And that was interesting to read from his point of view because I was like, oh, I already knew that. As somebody that's worked in corporate, that's what corporations do. They kind of make you feel like everybody's a valuable member of the team. We're in this together. No, we're not. This is you. This is a job. You're an employee. You work here. This is not a family. You have a real family at home. And so that's what it is. And I get it. I get the disappointment of learning that, but I was not surprised.
Dog, corporate, and it's not just WWE. I work for Sprint. They told me the same shit. Your family, you're this. I'm like, so why
they all do it?
If I have to leave here, I have to give you 2 weeks. But if you want me to leave here, you'll fire me today. It doesn't, like, all these things, like the things don't add up. And like, we're not family because, again, if I work somewhere and I die today, they're gonna put my resume, they're gonna put my job up on Indeed that same day. They're not gonna be like, let's mourn Reg, blah blah blah. Let's put his jersey up in the rafters. Nobody's gonna have no. They're gonna be trying to find a replacement for me that same day, and that's what every company is from the bottom to the top. And it's not just a WWE thing; it's just a life thing at this point. But I hope that he's still, I don't really know his age. That doesn't really matter at that point. He's still pretty fresh into the game. I still think he has a lot of years ahead of him. A lot of indie people are after him. I'm sure all the wrestling companies will be after him. Most of the people, I think, coming out of this, the bigger names are going to be fine or maybe better off, honestly, bigger opportunities.
Yeah, of course, he has some history with ROH. That was where he initially made his name. He's got indie credentials, and now he has even more things on his resume. He had that feud with Keith Lee that people really liked. He's had some high quality matches. So I have to imagine he could pull up somewhere and get a contract for sure.
He was a member of Retribution. He could put that on his resume too. You know what I mean? Like, I was in Retribution.
Yeah. When Mustafa Ali put that tweet up of somebody booked the 8-man and reunite us, I was like, that's hilarious. And somebody absolutely should do it. That would
Somebody's going to try.
Somebody should do that. Come on, New Japan. Come on.
New Japan probably has the best foot in the game with like their contracts and stuff. So like,
Shane and works over there. Mustafa's done matches over there. So yeah,
Dijak actually would probably hit in New Japan too. So it makes sense.
I would love to see him over there in like a big tournament or something.
Like Dijak in the G1. Like I honestly think Dijak's a better version than Lance Archer. Like if we need that, like what though, like who represents that thing? Like I'll pick Dijak, who kind of does the same thing as Archer.
I mean, which one are we talking about? AEW Lance Archer and New Japan Lance Archer are different. New Japan Lance Archer is like mixtape Wayne.
Yeah.
It's different, bro.
I don't even count AEW Archer because is that even a thing?
Yeah, New Japan Archer be hidden, bro.
But I think if we talk about balling, Dijak got him. But yeah, I think Dijak has a big future. But yeah, the bigger, wider story is how this keeps happening, Phil. And like, it seems like a surprise to everybody that it's happening to. I don't know if we're gonna see more of this, right?
Yeah, but I'm sure there's a way to look at it. Like, most people are not aware when they're gonna not be brought back or get fired. It's of course it happens when people kind of have that inkling that, oh, I'm going to get laid off or I can see this company. But I do think that it is kind of a weird trend that's happening right now with certain guys of they're telling them all the right things. And then when it comes to the contract, they're not being brought back.
It's unfortunate. But again, for the professional wrestling business, and there's a lot more places to work and a lot of more places to get hot. This is, it's not the worst time to be out of a WWE job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think with all of the with all alternatives now, I think it's a good spot for him, especially because he can go and he can have good matches. There's so many places where he could go and have an immediate impact. I think he'll be fine. He'll land somewhere. He'll be fine. And I'm sure that, this is momentarily frustrating for him, but I'm sure he'll use it as a motive to go somewhere and have some really fire matches.
Exactly. There's a media place to make an impact like Impact or NWA.
Yeah. Straight away, just with his history with ROH, if he did go over there and do some ROH stuff, I think that would make sense. But again, as we talked about earlier, with just the way they used that show, it's kind of hard to be optimistic about that. But I don't know.
I feel like that brand, like when Death Before Dishonor happens in a few weeks, like ROH will get hot again, but it's just like, it's not really a long time thing. It's like the development brand, I think, is officially what we can call it. And maybe we just need to start looking at it fully like that.
Yeah, I mean, I had basically already wrapped my head around that, but I just kind of want the regular programming to be more consistent. I want the program to focus on its champions, and that's been a problem for over a year at this point.
Remember when I tweeted a long time ago what the show was, and then people you would have thought that I kicked a dog?
Nah, and
I was like, I watched the show, you guys, but they didn't hear me.
I not only you watch the show, but you may or may not know people that also agree with that.
You know what I mean?
And it's, I at that time, that was, again, I was just letting people have their moment and be upset. And, you're my friend. And so sometimes I look at things from afar like, nah, it's beef with me too. But I can't be out here arguing with everybody that argues with you sometimes. And there were people that were saying things, and I was like, no, he's right. You just don't know that he's right.
You just don't know.
It's what I said before about Twitter and how people aren't really mad about the sentiment of what you said. They're just mad that you're the one that said it.
That I'm the one. Yep, exactly.
And so, no, you were right at the time. People just were being very extra because that's what people do.
Why would he say this when he watches the show? I'm saying this because I watched the show, you dumb idiot.
How dare you say that after you had Athena on the show? Are you mad because he said that after you had Athena on the show? Or are you mad because Athena didn't do your show? Like, tell the whole truth, bro. Like,
right.
Whatever. But again, don't get me started. Don't get me started on certain people and the bullshit they be doing, bro. Like, cut it out.
We got a few more super chats before I think we get into AEW and Forbidden Door in our last conversations for the day. Leonard as the third said, Kenny tried to warn Donovan some years back for clapping them cheeks for Stanford. Wasn't going to work out for him. Dijak got 86. TNA clapping for barely table scraps from WWE at this point. Yeah, people are rehashing those old tweets that Kenny had with Dijak the way that people would. And like, come on, it's just bitch, you guys.
That clip was so funny, man. I don't think that really means anything. I think that was just a joke at the time. But it's one of my all-time favorite Kenny clips from Being the Elite. We talked a little bit on Ask of Grapsody about how much I miss classic Being the Elite and how it's just not the same energy without it, man. Like, it used to be a part of building the storyline for the show. It was a big part of the fandom. For people with AEW, because before AEW existed, when it was just All In and all the rest of the stuff, all we had was Being the Elite. And so early on, day one AEW fans, Being the Elite was everything.
Yeah, when I couldn't watch all the New Japan stuff and I wanted to keep up with the Young Bucks and what they were doing when there wasn't AEW, I was watching Being the Elite because they were showing all the behind the scenes. Kenny was there, Cody was there.
Yeah.
Like it was the show to watch for that energy, for that crowd, for the alternative to WWE. And so when they parlayed that into AEW, the reason that AEW started off was the way it did, because we all felt like we were along for the ride. Like we all felt like we saw it from the inception. We saw the original All In. We saw like everything happen, and BTE was the vehicle that was showing us all that. And they would weave in the stories from BTE onto Dynamite. And initially people were like, why are they doing that? But that was part of the charm. It was like, well, this is what got us to the dance. So now we're using it for that. And now that option is not really present anymore, it's felt, honestly. Like
Yeah.
it's part of it's part of why the reason things feel different.
Yeah, I said before that the Bucks feel less fun, and that's partially because they're not supposed to because they're heel. But I feel like even in big parts of their career with New Japan where they were heels, they still felt fun, and it's just not the same energy of like when I first became a Young Bucks fan. It was just different.
Like their gimmick right now, the AVP shit would hit even harder if they
Bro.
had the BTE vehicle where they're doing the bits and they're getting the stuff over. It'd be crazy right now.
100%, bro. It would be totally different.
Mm-hmm.
But it just feels like it's just something that's changed with just them, and I'm sure some of that is real life stuff, and it might have just gotten harder to film stuff for being the elite when you're
It's probably annoying as hell filming that show for sure.
Yeah, it's different when you're just filming it in between the tours to Japan and everything, but now you're filming that along with a weekly television show. It's different. It's a big undertaking.
That you need to have input in, and like I'm thinking of it as a good thing, but like, oh, we also have to tell stories on this little YouTube show too. It's a lot to partake in.
Yeah.
I'm sure they were like, because they would always make the bit on the show of like, Brandon, we're not doing the show anymore. And I'm sure they were like, no, this is real. This is a lot of work, dude. We're not doing this. So I do understand it, but it's just like, it's a part of the history of AEW. Like when there's the AEW book, like the beginning's gonna have to like, and being the elite started all this stuff, and it spawned this, and then they went to go invade WWE, and they got Jimmy Jacobs fired, and all this crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like, was attached to that.
Yeah, there's so many bits of being the elite that are like still part of like my everyday memory. There's still inside jokes I make from being the elite. They're still funny. Like, I mean, our friend became being the elite meme, which is hilarious. But
I remember I forget what show that was. I think it was Stockton, and I'm standing next to him talking at the beginning in the show before we go into the arena, and some dude comes up to him and they're like, Will Washington from being the elite. And I'm like,
yeah, I remember somebody walked up and was like, by the way, and who's that guy? And I completely didn't process that they were doing the being the elite bit. And I was like, wait, what? What are you talking about?
Will Washington from being the elite. And Phil and I are just like, huh? I love it. But yeah, like, funny. That's AEW lore, and they have to, I don't think you can recreate that or redo that, but they gotta factor that part in. Yeah. Then Leonard Aarons also says it is what it is because WWE is WWE. Trips is not really much different from his pops creatively, and he's coasting off what he did in 2017.
They definitely have more similarities than people believe, but for my money, the product is currently better than it was under Vince.
The product is better right now than it has been in like 10 years. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but there's definitely things sometimes where I'm like, that's definitely something Vince would have done, and I don't like it for that reason. But I still enjoy WWE currently than I have in a long time. Like,
if Triple H wasn't such a fucking narcissist, I need to get my willies off. That's what saves us. That he wants to make us happy. Because if he didn't, like, that's the part that his dad didn't like. Vince didn't give a fuck about making us happy. He's like, I just care about money. But Triple H wants to be looked at as such a different light that he's going to continue to give up good things that people can enjoy. And it's like, if that's what it takes, then I'll take it. I don't care.
Yeah. And I know people are going to be like, oh, well, just because he's relatively better, that doesn't mean he's a better booker. I'm not saying all of that. I just mean that for my personal enjoyment, the show has been better.
That's it. I don't know who's a better booker or nothing, but this show is better than it has been. And that's all I care about.
Yeah, but Triple H is definitely a guy that cares about being liked. He tells you that every time he gets a chance. He definitely wants to be a scene. Like, I was laughing last night.
You like that? You like what I did?
Yeah. Every time I see him now, I'm just like, boy, you just can't wait, man. When he took that picture with Brunson last night, I was like, this guy, man. Every time he gets a chance, I was there. I'm here. Look where I'm at. Like, you guys miss me yet? No, you won't give us a chance to miss you.
Don't forget. I did this for you. Like, you like that thing that you like. I made it happen. Don't forget. And it's like, all right, guy.
Yeah.
we're gonna like it. Like, shouldn't us being happy about the show be enough? And he's like, no, I want you to say Good job to me.
You need to give it up to me.
And respect, man. Took a lot to get to that position, Phil. Took a lot to get to that position.
A lot of things happened for him to get that. So,
but yeah, that's all of our super chats. Thanks to everybody for submitting super and humper chats today. Y'all are phenomenal.
Yeah, appreciate you guys as always. I don't think we have any more humper chats, so we can officially get into the big pay-per-view we've got coming up this weekend as of tomorrow. It is crazy to think about. We also have a pay-per-view next weekend because there's always wrestling on.
Go figure. At least we're not being counter-programmed next weekend.
No, they were hitting us pretty hard at one point. But yeah, in the city of New York, where I just happen to be, Forbidden Door will be taking place tomorrow, June 30th.
Yes, sir.
Pretty big card. People were complaining about the size of the card again, because why not? But there's a lot of really, really good matches on this card. I mean, just the 0 Hour alone looks like a great show.
The 0 Hour is his own fire ass show, honestly, Phil.
Yeah. It's coming out the gate. They announced 2 women's matches for the 0 Hour. We've got Chris Statlander and Momo Watanabe taking on Willow Nightingale and Tam Nakano. Very excited for that. Like I was saying earlier, very glad that Tam made it onto this card. That should be a great match. I like the story of them playing in that Tam and Willow became friends after she defended the belt against her over in Japan. And that's why she's her partner. When I first saw Momo, I was like, well, wait a minute. Aren't Willow and Momo fans? But it's other Momo, not Momo Kogo. It's Momo Watanabe. But yeah, that's going to be a good match. We've also got Mariah May taking on taking on Saraya for the opening match for the Women's Owen Hart Cup. Yeah, I really like this idea now that they're adding the Owen Hart matches to Forbidden Door. I think it adds something to the tournament. It's a good way to kick off the tournament.
Especially considering like Owen worked for New Japan and stuff. Like the tie-ins are like really, they make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and straight away I think too, just having the 2 women's matches on the 0 Hour, both of them have a story to them. It's not like just throw 2 random women's matches on there. You've been building feud for a while, so you've got a storyline there, and then of course you've got a storyline with Mariah May and Saraya. So you've also got the 6-man match that we got this week on Dynamite that played into this, which is a very Japan way to do things. Of all the matches you got in the pay-per-view, you're now using the 6-man to build up to it. I thought it was hilarious that Mina was just like, why do I have to do this match? And I'm just like, well, you do this all the time in Stardom. That's how you book the shows all the time. She's like, I don't want this match.
Not the can they coexist match. I fucks with her though. But no, I love that little angle that they shot this week of Mina trying to hit Tony, but accidentally hitting Mariah and them being all distraught over it. The story that they've been telling with that has been great. But I love that even beyond that, every women's match that has been added to this has a story, and that's the best thing to hear about it.
Yeah, Saraya, of course, is telling you that she wants her match at Wembley again. That's why she entered the Owen. Mariah May wants her match at Wembley as well. But, you know, she also has the storyline with Tony going into Wembley. I figured from jump when Saraya beat Mariah a few weeks ago that this was going to play into the storyline and it was going to move forward. I didn't understand why people reacted to that, but I think Mariah is going to pick up the win here, and she's going to move on. I definitely think she is going to eventually win the entire Women's Owen as well.
Facts. Yeah, it feels like with the stories they've been telling, like that doesn't even feel like a spoiler. It's like if you just look at the stories they've been telling and how it is and where it leads to, the winner gets a title shot at All In. They've been telling this thing with Tony, like Mariah winning this match makes so much sense, or winning the tournament makes so much sense. I'm hoping that Saraya she's had a couple of matches that have been better than expected, and I hope she brings that Saraya to this. Mariah is going to force her to, I guess. So it's all going to work out.
I think it's going to be a solid match. Mariah's matches have been pretty good. Soraya's matches are hit or miss, but
Yeah.
I think in the ring with somebody like Mariah, she can have a good match.
Mariah's one of those. I'm gonna force you to have a. I'm gonna force your ass to work regardless. So yeah.
Yeah. The big match to probably close the 0 hour that a lot of people were saying should be on the main card will be the big trios match of Los Ingobernables de Japón taking on the Lucha Brothers. Man, that looks incredible. Lucha Bros and Mystico. Sorry. That's going to be fire, man.
So this has been every year for Forbidden Door. Phoenix and Penta have been talked about because they've had different contracts with AAA, which didn't allow them to work over here. They can't work in this. This is the first year ever they're allowed to work the show. And when they announced this match, like, people have been going ham. Everybody's like, you have to put this on the main card. You have to put this on the main card. Regardless, man, we're about to get this match and it's going to be insane. When they talk about Forbidden Door and just wanting to see the wildest, best shit, these are the type of matches that they're talking about. Like, this shit's going to be crazy.
Whew, yeah, this is going to be fire. Just the idea of Tsuji, Teton, and Hiromu in the ring with Penta, Rey Fenix, and Mystico. We're going to get all the flippy stuff. We're going to get all of the cool spots. Very much looking forward to that one, man. Getting into our main card, we've got the big ladder match for the vacant AEW TNT Championship. Konosuke Takeshita will be taking on Mark Briscoe, Jack Perry, Dante Martin, Leo Rush, and El Phantasmo. Very, very glad that we got this mix of talent. Mark Briscoe has been incredible in all the backstage segments. Takeshita feels like he's just on the cusp of something big. And I could easily see him winning this match. I don't think that he will, but he feels like a believable option to win. All the flippy guys that we have in this, in Dante, Leo, LP, they're going to hit all the spot stuff, but kind of feels like this is Jack's match to win.
Yeah. First of all, that Phantasmo and AR Fox match from Rampage was fire last night. If you haven't seen that, definitely check that out. He's such a great addition to this ladder match. All the elements in here are like, oh yeah, this is going to be insanely fire. I'm so excited that Leo is officially back. I don't know if you could say that, but he's back in AEW and he's doing his thing, and I'm very excited about it. And if he won this match, I'd be so super excited, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think this is kind of Jack Perry's match to win, and him being the TNT champion makes a lot of sense. That kind of feels like that could have been happening if Adam was still here anyway. So this feels like a natural progression, but I'm happy they got to get these guys together in a ladder match. Ladder match as a concept, I don't, at this day and age, I'm not the super most excited about it, but like, these guys together will be dope.
Yeah, I think it's a very good mix of talent. A little bit leery straight away that Dante is in this, and the match that he got that big injury in, that he went away for a while, was off of a ladder match.
Maybe stay on the ground.
You know, hopefully everybody be safe. But very much looking forward to this. I agree. I do think that Jack is going to win. I wouldn't be mad at Takeshita winning though.
Takeshita has definitely, if it's anybody else in like a wild card win, I'd give it to Takeshita. Just because everybody's always like, he needs more, and it would make a lot of sense, kind of given his trajectory.
Right. Yeah. Also, very glad to see El Phantasma here.
Yes.
The Leo Rush stuff is good because not only am I excited to see him here, but it's not like they just were like, oh, he's back. They're also still playing off all the stuff that he was doing before he left. He's still doing the stuff with Dante. And I like the way that they've played that stuff off, where they're like, I don't know if we can trust this guy. And he's just like, well, what? I'm just happy to be here. I just want to have the matches and have fun. What's wrong?
Why y'all can't trust me? Remember last time we had a good time? We were in the ring together. Like, remember that? I don't know what's wrong with y'all. I do love Leo for just being like, yo, I don't know why y'all tripping, man. I'm just trying to chill. I'm gonna win this TNT championship. Like, no big deal.
Yeah, what's wrong? I know I was doing like a scammer bit when I was here before, but that's old. Why y'all bringing up old stuff?
That was a long time ago. Ain't nobody trying to get them PPP checks no more or whatever.
Yeah, man. I really love it. We've got The AEW Women's World Championship match, Toni Storm will be taking on Mina Shirakawa. Very much looking forward to this. The build to this match has been incredible. I think it's one of the best storylines they have going into the pay-per-view. I have to assume that Toni is going to retain here because Toni has been on an absolute tear as a character. The matches have gotten a lot better as well. I don't see her losing, at least until Wembley.
I love thinking about matches and then being like, well, we were kind of a part of the build. It's just like a funny little side thing just because like Mina doesn't do a lot of interviews and like she talked about the match in our interview. Regardless, definitely check that out again. Don't forget, this match is going to be, I think just because of the story and everything kind of attached to it, people are forgetting who's in the match also. They're like forgetting that it's Mina and Toni, and they're going to go absolutely insane just because the story has been so great. This is a sleeper match. Could be the match of the night, honestly, if these women really get a chance to go for it, you know?
Yeah, Mina has come a long way over the last 3 years. I think she's gotten much better in the ring.
Yeah.
And, you know, she came from a place of trying to prove herself as well because she came in straight away and some people didn't take her seriously, but she's improved leaps and bounds. I think the match she had this year with Mayu at New Beginnings was proof of that. And Toni shows when she gets in there with the Japanese women and they kind of force her to go like, wait a minute, you used to be over here with us. You're a hooper. And she's like, you're right. let me show y'all what I do.
I am.
So yeah, very excited for that match. We've got the trios match of the Learning Tree.
I like the Learning Tree.
The Learning Tree, Chris Jericho and Big Bill and Jeff Cobb will be taking on Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata.
That was a
right?
spoiler. I think they announced the Jeff Cobb bid on Collision.
Okay, so that got changed. Why did they announce the Suzuki part then? Is that match getting changed?
No, remember they announced the Suzuki thing, and in the video, Suzuki's like, I don't want to be on your team. I want to fight you for the FTW belt. And I think they're just going to do that on a different show.
Got you. Okay, gotcha.
Right.
So yeah, we're getting a trios match. Sorry, spoiled you guys, but that's on the official card list that I'm looking at. Sorry, but I think that trios match is probably the best way to get these guys on the card and get some use out of it.
So we did kind of, with that spoiler alert, we did kind of get something that we wanted because Jeff Cobb's in the match, and on the other side of the match is a Samoan named Joe. So we got to take a little victory for that one. They're going to be in the ring together.
I just wanted the New Japan television match, man. Like, I just wanted Jeff Cobb versus Joe. Like, leave me alone.
It's at the same. They're going to be in the ring together, Phil. The Learning. Chris Jericho did this for you.
Oh my god. But yeah, I've very much enjoyed Joe and Hook and Shibata as a trio. They're very entertaining. So that's at least some bright spot out of this. But
the Learning Tree.
Yeah. So I'm assuming maybe the Jericho match is happening in Chicago on July 3rd.
Probably, yeah. I would think so.
Yeah. Yeah, Suzuki usually gets a very good reaction in Chicago, so maybe they're doing it for Beach Break.
He does do a lot of he does a lot of indies in Chicago too. He's pretty hot out in Chicago.
Yeah. Remember, of course, he came out at All In and got that big pop in 2021. One of the legitimate surprises on that show. So makes sense if he's gonna wrestle at Beach Break. I mean, that makes a bit more sense. I wasn't as interested in Jericho versus Suzuki in a singles match on this card. I think the trios match makes a bit more sense because you can maximize the talent you got there. Exactly.
And that gets like Joe and Shibata and Jeff Cobb on the card, most importantly.
Yeah. Very divisive match. We got MJF taking on Hechicero. People for some reason are like, what's the story? Why do we even get this match? Like, it's fine. The story is very straightforward. I think the match makes perfect sense with who Max is and, you know, what Hechicero represents. Max is usually a guy that people think isn't going to work well against the technical guys. He had to keep reminding you, I can wrestle and I'm better than you guys think. I think this match is going to hit.
This match is going to be hard. This is one of those people got Echisetto fucked up. They keep being like, well, why is he in there? Max is such a big star, blah, blah, blah. That's part of the story. We know that Max, how often he talks shit about New Japan. It makes sense for him to wrestle a CMLL guy. He's a technical guy. Echisetto just got 5 stars. Y'all some haters. But this match is going to be really dope, I think. Max is, since he's came back, it's been interesting. The promo, some of the stuff, I'm like, I'm not loving it. So I think this match, I don't want to say he has something to prove because I don't think he has something to prove, but I think this is going to be
Max.
one of those. This is one of those matches where he just reassures who he is. You know,
he's just going to confirm how good he is for people that keep forgetting. Yeah, the segment from Dynamite this week was interesting because it kind of took a minute to get to the point because I was like, where are we going with this at several points? Because Max came out and then he did the stuff with Daniel Garcia and he assured Daniel Garcia, you know, hey, I'm going to get you this match because look, I'm trying to help young guys out, which we saw a few people play off of the Cody line this week, including Jericho. Not surprised, but it was an interesting segment because you got two things out of it. You got the Max stuff, and then you got the Ospreay stuff, where Ospreay's so sure he's gonna win, and I'm gonna give you a world title and an international title match next week. How about that? You're just acting like you're gonna win. You're just still looking past Swerve, like you know you're gonna win this match. Yeah. I think that was good storytelling for Ospreay, and I think the ending of it with Max, like, why are you even here, bro? Like, this is my segment. Why are you interfering into my segment, acting like you're gonna give this guy this moment? No. This was my spot. I'm doing something good for him. And he kind of pouted off at the end. I was like, oh yeah, that heel turn's coming, buddy. I'm ready for it.
The only issue I really had with it is I got the same sentiment from most people that I talked to. Like, I talked to Denise, I talked to you, I talked to Brian and Al. Check out that PWI podcast too. That was really fun. Is that this segment felt like they were all looking past Forbidden Door. Like, Max is like, oh yeah, I got a match this weekend with Hechicero. One comment. Most of it was about All In or next week's show, and I felt like we need to be building to Forbidden Door, and it don't feel like none of y'all care about Forbidden Door. That's the only kind of part I was like, if this promo had happened next week, I'd love it. But the fact that we're building to a show and you guys aren't really talking about the show feels weird to me.
I think it worked with Ospreay's character more than anything because it showed that Ospreay still is acting like, oh, well, this is a short thing. I've come straight in and beat everybody. I'm going to do the same thing to Swerve. You're still underestimating Swerve and acting like, oh, I can just beat him. So that makes sense for him. It makes less sense for Max. And I get the bit of, I don't care about Forbidden Door. I'm just going here because I have to be here. And afterwards, then I'm going to do all the stuff I really want to do. And then Daniel doesn't have a match on the card. So all of those things kind of make sense. But to do that as the opening segment, and a go-home show for Forbidden Door, it is a bit jarring. So, yeah, and then it just took so long to get to the point as well. It took
5 every time.
It took so long to get to the point, and then it was a lot of telling instead of showing as well. It was a lot of telling us that Daniel can be a big star, and look, he's next up. I'm going to give him this moment to show you he's next up instead of just letting him prove he's next up.
Exactly. And why are you telling the Buffalo crowd and us? We already know, dude. You don't need to tell us. We saw the journey already. Show me some more of why he's so great. Don't tell me.
Yeah. I think it would have made more sense to open with a match with Garcia and then
Garcia match.
Maybe get the storyline stuff afterwards of the two of them offering him a match. But this was kind of it took a long time to get to the point, but
they slowed it up.
I think some of the story stuff is eventually going to hit because they set some good seeds here.
Same here.
Max
got that though tomorrow.
Yeah. We got a match I'm very excited for. Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy has kind of had a hot match almost every year for Forbidden Door. Of course, he had the big match the first year with why am I driving? Ospreay, of course. Ospreay. Yeah. He had the Ospreay match the first year. that was super dope. And I think this is going to be great as well.
Yeah, this has kind of became Orange Cassidy's thing of like what the concept of Forbidden Door represents of like the best over there from against the best over here.
Yeah.
Like Orange Cassidy has kind of shined the most because of like what his gimmick was and what people thought he could work. And then they saw that Ospreay match, like, oh yeah, this guy could really work. So now he's in this position of getting the big match against the big star over there, and probably is going to have the match of the night just because he's been primed for that. So yeah, this match is going to be, this has potential to be better than that Ospreay match just because of the way that I know that the way that Zack Sabre Jr. is going to work it. Better than the Ospreay and Orange Cassidy match, not better than the main event of the show.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to predict this one as well. I kind of feel like Orange is kind of in the same spot he was for the first Forbidden Door, where he's going into this match with like a clash of styles, and it's going to be a good match, but he's kind of underdog in this match because just based on the style of wrestling that Zack Sabre Jr. does, I kind of assume that Zack is going to win.
Right. And kind of storyline purposes of what Zack's trying to do when the G1, go to Wrestle Kingdom, like all this makes more sense for him to get the win. But yeah, I feel like Zack Sabre Jr. is going to do it. He should do it.
Yeah, I feel like this is his year to win the G1. I feel like he has been close to getting that world title win for so long, and they've been really building him up as a threat this year, giving him the win over Bryan and some other things. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the G1 and ends up going to Wrestle Kingdom to challenge for the title.
He should. He's been set up for it. What a build.
Yeah. We've got, speaking of New Japan, we've got the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match. Mox will be defending the belt, the first AEW wrestler to defend that belt at Forbidden Door against Tetsuya Naito. Really looking forward to this. I think the build of it was great. I laughed up a storm the other night at Naito coming out with his whole suit on and like slowly taking it off to have clothes under it, and you had to wait until he got out of the suit.
Slow.
Start the segment.
He was like slowly taking off each button, just like not caring. Like, there's time, dude. And eventually Mox has to get out of the ring and go get him because he's taking so long.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I love this about Naito. That's classic Naito.
Very classic Naito. And meanwhile, Mox is just like, I'm going to kill this guy. I'm sick of him. Get out of the way. I'm champion. You had your time. Go away. I think Naito's going to beat him. I think a big part of the reason I believe Naito's going to beat him is just the way that Mox talks about him. Like,
right,
get out of here, man. You're washed. Get out of here. It's my time. And those are the times when Naito usually comes with the upset.
Exactly. Moxley's energy of I hear what all the haters are saying. You guys think I'm a transitional champion. I don't care that I do got the belt over here in AEW. Do something about it. Come get it. Like, that energy is awesome. Mox as IWGP champion feels so right. Like, I know Naito's gonna beat him, but like, I don't know, the energy that he's bought in as champion has like upped Moxley even more. So this is fun. This match is gonna be dope.
Yeah, and talk about something I've been waiting for with Forbidden Door since day one. I'm like, get us a one-on-one Naito match. Give us the big Naito entrance at a Forbidden Door. And so it finally feels like we're in the right position to do it. It's the right match. It's the right opponent. Very much looking forward to that one. We got Mercedes Moné defending her TBS championship against the New Japan Strong Women's Champion, Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie, of course, has 3 belts. Mercedes is looking to become a dual champion here. I don't think it's much of a prediction here because it seems pretty clear Mercedes is going to win. It seems too soon for her to take a big loss. That belt was really made for her. She basically reminded people every time she gets a chance, that's my belt. Yeah, but this match is going to hit hard. I really like the story of it as well, that Mercedes beat Stephanie in the inaugural tournament for the belt, and while she was away, Stephanie got better. And you know, it's kind of this story now of all the people that Mercedes faced in that tournament getting better while she was away, and she comes back like, no, that's my spot. And they're like, well, how dare you? We were working. Like, just because you were gone doesn't mean everybody else stood still.
And the thing that makes it even better is Mercedes' rebuttal is, oh, but I've also gotten better, so you have to beat me. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I understand. Like, oh, you became champion, you became this, but I've been training hard. I thought I wasn't going to come back, but I've actually came back almost better than I was. And I bring in some kind of energy that you've never seen. Stephanie, I think her confidence that she's shown, every position that she's been in, like, I'm supposed to be here. Like, actually, Mercedes is lucky to be in the ring with me, has made me so even more anticipated for this match, honestly. And Mercedes' energy, her being in Arena Mexico for the first time, her trying to pay tribute to Eddie Guerrero, like all this stuff is like, oh, this match is going to be fire. And Mercedes, everything that Mercedes has done kind of post WWE, like most of her training stuff, all of it's been kind of centered in lucha, and I'm just excited to see her really go at it with Stephanie.
Yeah, I like their initial match from that tournament. I thought that was a good match, so I have no doubt this match is probably going to be better. Mercedes and Marina Mexico going out there to taunt her and then raising both belts, and then afterwards threw it back at her like, here, you can keep it for now, but I'll be taking that later on. It was really, really funny. It looked so disrespectful the way she threw it at her. I was like, nah, she wild.
She's different, man. People, her media run that she's been on this week, I'm like, there's not a lot that do it like Mercedes, man. She's like such a big star.
Yeah, big, massive star. She just feels like a big star. She did some media stuff this week where people were running with the quotes again. She said she's not giving people the tea of why she left WWE. You're gonna have
read
to
her book in 10 years.
You're gonna have to go buy the book. And there's also that quote of, I don't know what other people are making, but I know what I'm making. I was like, bro. flexing on it.
Cracking up at all of her little quotes that are coming up when they're like, "Oh, do you have creative control?" She's like, "Look, me and Tony Khan are friends. I don't know what the rest of them are doing.
I don't know what the rest of them doing, but we cool over here, man. We working." Yeah, Mercedes is gonna win this match. There's no way I don't see her win this match.
Yeah, no, that belt was essentially made for her initially. Like, she's coming to get it.
Yeah, but I do think that's gonna be a hot match. I really love that. Again, the Forbidden Door builds for the women have been really good, and they have been built around like, hey, I'm better than you, or hey, I have this going on with you, but cool. She's your mentor. She's your little mentee now. She dresses like you, but that drop kick that everybody loves now, I taught her how to do that.
That's mine.
I taught her real stuff. You just got out here dressing like you and doing this gray filter. I'm better than you, and I'm going to take your belt. Watch out for me. Stop all this watch out for the shoe shit. Watch out for me.
That's my favorite part of when people talk about story and build. Some of the stories is like, I want that belt because that belt's cool, and I want to be the best. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of forget about that when we get into the story stuff. Some of these wrestlers in kayfabe just want to be the best wrestler, and if I beat all the best wrestlers, then I'm the best wrestler.
Yeah, which when I think about it, I'm kind of salty that I did not talk to Mina about the process of training with Mariah, and Mariah talked about how big the training with her was, and that's how she really picked up that drop kick and everything.
But you asked about like when people, you should ask more fun things. I'm like, that's fun. But
but that happens with every interview. Afterwards, she's like, "Man, dang, I could ask this. I could ask
totally."
That.
Yeah,
it always happens. Man, last two matches for this show,
crazy.
Bryan Danielson versus Shingo Takagi, the first round matchup from the Owen Hart Cup tournament. This is going to be incredible. Very much looking forward to this. It's Bryan. Bryan don't have bad matches, man. This guy has low key. It's probably wrestler of the year for me so far. It's either him or Ospreay. But man, Bryan has been killing it this year. This is another one where since they established Forbidden Door, I've been waiting for the big one-on-one match with Shingo on his card. Yeah. And if you can get anybody as opponent, Bryan's the guy. This is going to be incredible.
They've Shingo has been on AEW TV a couple times. Like last night, he wrestled Dalton Castle. He wrestled AR Fox last week, and they've been trying to establish him on the main roster for people who might not know. And it's been like 5% of what Shingo really is, because he hasn't really been Shingo. When tomorrow he locks it up with the greatest wrestler of our generation, and they're on 10. This is going to be amazing. Like you said, we've been waiting for this Shingo singles match for say that 5 times, the Shingo singles match for a really long time on Forbidden Door. And for the fact that the first one's going to be against Bryan Danielson in his retirement year for this tournament, the history, the winner gets a world title match. Like, all the elements are there. This is going to be on fire. I can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah, cannot wait. The main event, Swerve Strickland will be defending his AEW World Champion against Will Ospreay, one of the best wrestlers in the world, current international champion. I don't have to say a whole bunch.
What can you say about this?
I've been pitching this match for about 2 years at this point, all the way back to, I believe, the first Forbidden Door. I was like, all right, Ospreay's gonna have a match on this card. You guys just signed Swerve. When are we getting this match? Like, what's going on? I did not.
I've heard Phil say, when are we getting this match about this match? At minimum, like 200 times in the last 3 years. So,
I've been waiting. I really love the idea that some people think that Swerve is a transitional champion, and he's basically just been holding this belt and keeping it warm because Ospreay's the hot guy. And I just don't know why people would think that based on the way the AEW books. People rarely come into this company and become champion in their first year.
Not how this works. Yep.
And I mean, I think if they would break that habit with anybody, it would make sense for it to be Ospreay. So I do understand why people could go either way, but Swerve is so hot right now that I just think it would be a massive mistake to cut his reign short to put the belt on Ospreay. And don't get me wrong.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be mad at Ospreay as champion, but it just feels too soon.
Yeah, I agree. I think just the way that AEW has told stories with their world champion historically, like you said, nobody just comes in and gets it. Ospreay would make a lot of sense, but I feel like they want to establish, like, we feel like Ospreay's the best. We feel like that, but I feel like there's a section of fans that he still needs to be established with. And I don't think making him world champ right now off rip is the way to do it. Also, like you're saying, Swerve, it's not Swerve's time. I think Swerve is just getting to the point that he needs to be. This championship is bringing him into the top spot, making him into a bigger star, doing all that. He needs a little bit more time to cook with it, though.
Yeah. Yeah, and it goes into what we were talking about last week about how often black wrestlers, they come in and they'll get their moment, and then when the company is ready to really push the guy that they're really behind, then they'll just drop the belt to them and move them up. And it would very much feel like that if they do that with Ospreay, and I would not like that. It at this moment feels like AEW is more invested in Swerve, so I wouldn't see them doing that. But anything to happen. I mean, I personally am predicting Swerve's going to win here. Based on the story they're telling, it makes more sense for Swerve to win because in every way, Ospreay's been looking around like, oh, well, I've beat everybody since my debut. I'm going to beat you too. I know you're my friend and no disrespect, but I'm going to beat you. And I also love the idea of him coming in off of the Forbidden Door match from last year where he was a killer, came in and hit Kenny Omega with that Tiger Driver. And he's just not the same guy no more. He's not the same guy since the Bryan match. He's remorseful. He's second-guessing himself. And that's what Swerve sees. He's like, bro, you come into this match second-guessing yourself. I'm going to beat you. Don't come over here doing that stuff you did with Roddy, where you beat Roddy even though you're second-guess yourself. You give me an opening, I'm going to beat you. And so,
I think the last angle of this week kind of played into that. Ospreay tried to do the same thing he did a couple weeks ago by taking Swerve's belt. He thought he was going to pose with it, but as soon as he snatched the belt, Swerve was like, absolutely not. I have already told you like 5 times to stop disrespecting me. House call. You're dead.
I loved it. That segment was perfect. The build for this match has been so good. I love the story they're telling of not just the stuff with Ospreay, but just playing off of who Swerve has been to get to this point, and him saying like, bro, I gave up everything to get here. I had to dig deep and become this disgusting, ugly person. I had to like make people bleed, go to this man's house and taunt his baby. All of these things I did to get here. you haven't earned it yet. You haven't had to go through everything I went through. Like, how dare you think you can just come in here and stand where Kenny Omega stood, and Kenny Omega did all of these things to be a dual champion. You ain't that guy yet, man. And I think that is just a great story because, of course, he's come in and done all of these things that Kenny already did. I mean, coming straight in and beating the guy that beat Kenny twice in Takeshita, and then facing Brian, a guy that he fought to a time limit draw and beating him. All of these guys that he's just like, well, this is nothing. This is easy. Like, I could do this. I stood in the shadow of Okada. I'm not about to stand in the shadow of Omega no more. I'm not in New Japan no more. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to take his spot. And I think he's going to see in this match. Nah, it's harder than you think. Just like Omega had to realize when he came over here, it's harder than you think it is.
And I love that they're playing on that same Omega story, because I kind of had the same sentiments when it started. When AEW started, I was like, Kenny Omega should be champ off rip. They have to capitalize on what he has done, who he is, and everything. Ospreay's the same thing. As soon as Ospreay come in, he should be world champion. They got to capitalize off him being the best wrestler in the world, and him kind of trying to follow those footsteps and finding out that it isn't as easy as you were the best wrestler in the world somewhere else and you come in and be the champion over here. You have to legit kind of start from the bottom to gain the fans' respect, to gain management's respect, to gain your peers' respect, and to become world champion. It takes a lot more than that. I love Swerve being like, you're just happy to be here. You're trying to be friendly with everybody, and that's not how you do this.
Yeah, I really loved that payoff that he snatched his belt in the first time, and he was like, look, you lucky we're friends. I'm going to let you have this moment. You still playing, though. This is not a game to me.
Not a game.
And you keep trying to act like, well, why is it personal? Because you weren't here. You weren't here when I had to climb up this ladder to get here and everything I did to get here. This ain't a game to me. This ain't a joke. Stop playing with me.
And so, it's kind of disrespectful to Swerve that like you don't think that you do think this is just a match and this is just, but no, dude, I broke into a man's house, talked to his kid. I will do anything in the world to keep this championship. This isn't just a game because we're friends, bro. No, I'm going to do whatever I can to keep this belt.
Look, yeah, I love that. I love that he's just like, I don't care that we're friends. I don't have no friends. When it comes to this belt, I have no friends. This is it. Like, stop playing with me. And so he took that belt, didn't say a word, immediately house called him, didn't say nothing else to him. It's like, no, this is not a game to me. This is everything.
We've all had those moments like, I told you, he told you 3 times, and then like he did it.
Yeah, man, you talk about selling me on something. I just really love this idea of everything you have to do to be champion and what comes with that. Because a lot of winners, they have to do things that they're not proud of to win, and we've seen that so many times. Like, I've seen people just this week with the Jordan stuff and the Bron stuff, where they'll be like, Jordan was not a good person. I'm like, yeah, but a lot of people that are winners, and the person they had to be a winner wasn't a likable person, man. We've seen Last Dance. We've seen how unlikable he is in some of the practice scenes, and how he had to push those guys, but he had to do that to be a winner. Kobe's another one, how he was so unlikable. All
their teammates are like, we hated this fucking guy. We didn't want to see him. We were hiding from him, but we all have a winner. Championship rings now.
Yeah, same thing. Tom Brady, totally unlikable guy, but he's a winner. And I really like that idea of the story of, hey, man, you can be liked and you can have friends and be a loser, or you can be hated and be a winner.
A story as old as time that could be told across any sports platform. I think it's, man, like they've had a little, like the interaction that they've had have been small. Like it's like minute 30 seconds of like just them two in the ring together. But every time it's like hit really hard. And I thought the go home this week was like, well, they still have one more with Collision tonight. But I thought that him snatching a belt and getting a house call and sort of just walking out like, I told your ass, was fucking brilliant.
Love it. Yeah, really excited for this show.
You're there, man.
AEW has had a string of fire shows this year. Really lucky to be in this city for this show. And just sick all the heaters, all the heaters on this card, man. Very excited for tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited for my friends that are there. I'm excited for the company, and I'm excited for these matches. It's going to be absolutely insane. Catch me tomorrow. Phil's going to be out there, but I'm going to be live after the show with my friend in the California Connection, Denise Salcedo. So you guys, if you're up late, definitely check that out. We got a couple of more super chats before we get on out of here. I'm sure Phil's trying to go see the city out there. Hey, what's over there says, last one, Conan got to be punching the air that the Lucha Bros are teaming with Mystico. Yeah, Conan got to be in the dirt because he was the main one. Anytime there was some news that would come out about Penta and his contract stuff, it was always from Conan. So now it's funny that this is where we got into.
Yeah, very funny.
Punch in there. And then our last super chat of the day is from Leonard Aarons III. Say, people are missing the bigger story being told with Will. Ospreay needs Callis. Without Don, he doesn't beat Kenny last June or Okada at the G1. Oh, that is a really good story too. Yeah. Because he Don Callis gives him essentially that extra added killer instinct. And without that, he's just the happy-go-lucky, I can beat you because I'm Will Ospreay type deal.
Well, even more than that, look at his New Japan run. Like he had a little run as junior heavyweight champion. He was beating everybody. He didn't beat Okada until he turned heel. He didn't get like the run where he was world champion, all that stuff, until he started United Empire and he had to become the bad guy. And so I think he's trying to redo this now and go, oh, well, I can do it as a good guy. No, you're forgetting how you won. You're forgetting how you got some of your biggest successes over there.
The same thing that Swerve's telling you. Wow. There's layers to it.
Yeah, the same thing, man. you listen, man. I know you're having fun. You're making good money. You're traveling, all this other stuff, but no, you still playing games, bro.
Thank you guys for submitting super chats and humper chats. Y'all are dope.
I believe that is all our humper chats as well. I'm gonna refresh just to make sure.
It's Grapsody. Phil got to go get a big slice. What other kind of New York things are you getting into?
I have no idea. But yeah, that is all of our humper chats. That's all of our super chats. I appreciate you guys as always for sending in both your humper chats and super chats. Appreciate all of the happy birthday messages. I will be out and about in the city. My birthday is officially tomorrow.
Let's go.
But yeah, appreciate you guys as always for popping in to support. Appreciate the support from the Mina interview as well. It's been a surreal week in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it always is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does it ever just like a normal week? No, I don't think that's not how this works.
Yeah, even more so this week than everything. Because the older you get, sometimes it feels like, I don't know, does this matter? Am I really contributing to this, or does this matter? And you know, there's certain things this week, because again, you know, you get older and everything turns into I'm in deep thought about something. I'm introspective about something.
Straight
and
up.
So, you know, some things this week were very surreal. Like just I don't think people realize how long I've been a Stardom fan and how long I've wanted an interview with someone over there. And to get that, you know, the week of my birthday and everything, it's really cool.
I'm telling you, a lot of wins this week with the Lupe album. You in New York, Mina interview, Stardom, more Stardoms on the way. I hope. Like, I'm a big fan.
Big fan. But you know what it is. This has been fun as always, guys. This has been Grapsody. I'm Phil Lindsey. It's Righteous Reg. Peace out.